Hey everybody, welcome to the Player Stake episode 344. I'm your host Justin D. Simone, joined by my co-host Montrell Rice. Montrell, how are you this fine week?
I'm doing fine. I might temporarily disconnect for like 3 seconds, but keep going.
No, I don't know what's going on with this stuff, but well, I'll just do the rigmarole, while I wait for him to come back.
All right, I'm back.
Okay, there we go. What a great start to the show. Montrell immediately disconnects. But no, Montrell, I mean, how's life? You're abandoning us this weekend. You know, it feels like you don't want to play board games with us anymore. You're going to the fair instead of hanging out with
No,
us.
as I told my wife that shit too, dude. I was like, Justin's gonna think I don't want to fucking be around him anymore. She was like, why? I was like, because he invited me like to the last 2 board games, and I had to flake out with him. And I was like, I was gonna go to this one, and then she was like, I want to go to the fair. I was like, fuck, we already planned it and everything.
No, it's
like,
fine.
your board game?
It's fine. It's fine. I mean, you're not as bad as Brian. We've been trying to get Brian to come for like 6 months, dude, and he just refuses. He just will not do it. He doesn't want to leave his house. Like, so, you're not the worst one.
We're gonna get him one day.
Yeah. Well, I told Amanda, and I need to tell Tyler and Jet this as well. It's like, just don't even mention it anymore. Stop saying anything to him about it. Like, put it, because the second we mention it, we're putting pressure on him, and he's not going to want to come, right?
Yeah.
So you have to play hard to get. Okay, we're in that phase now with this. Is like, we've made it clear that we want him to come. Now we're never going to mention it again, and he's going to be like, "Oh, do they not want me to come anymore?" And then he's going to want to come. So that's my plan. It's probably not going to work. Brian's he's a homebody at heart. So
yeah.
But yeah. Well, the fair will be fun. Do you guys have you guys gone together before? I think you have, right?
No, this would be my first time. I never went before.
Really? You've never been at all to the Texas one? Have you been? Did you go to the one in Michigan?
Yeah, I go to a state fair in Michigan, but every time the state fair rolls around, like something comes up. Like I can never go. And this time I'm gonna go. So
it is a pretty short period. It's only about 3 weeks that it's even open.
Okay.
So well, have fun. There's a lot to do if you actually like look for it. You know, it's very easy to just walk through the fair and kind of miss all the shows and stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a lot of free shows you can go see and stuff. So we accidentally ran into the horse show that was happening in one of the buildings, and we actually sat down for like 30 minutes and watched it. It was really cool, actually. So we had never done that before. So yeah, there's some cool stuff. It's a lot of animals if you want to see them. So, and of course there's the 2 car show buildings as well. Jeep has this like fucking roller coaster-esque thing that they're doing. It's here with their cars, where they have their own people driving the cars around this like track, basically, to like show customers like what like how good the cars are, in like rough terrain or whatever. It's fucking it's funny as hell. So so there's some interesting stuff for sure. All right. Well, for those of you who haven't listened before, this is our weekly show. We talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. We post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and your favorite podcast app of choice. And if you'd like to send us questions, you can do so via email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. All right, Montreal, let's start like always with what we've been playing. Do you want to go first, or shall I?
You can go first since you said you've been kind of
down
in the dumps.
Not down to the dumps. Okay, let's not exaggerate. I've been very busy. I honestly have not played a lot of games since the last recording. So, because I went to the fair on Friday last week, with Amanda, and we had a garage sale on Saturday. Football was on Sunday, so my weekend was kind of like taken up. I didn't really have a lot of time to play, so I didn't. And then this week has been pretty busy too. I haven't really played except for the last like 2 nights. Maybe I've played a little bit last couple days. So So what I have been playing though, I did play a little bit of Trails. I haven't played it. Like I got back into it today for my lunch today. So I played like an hour, maybe, and I'm still working my way through chapter 3. So not a huge, nothing new to say there about it. But the other game I've been playing though, I did decide to give this a shot because this came out over the weekend. Is the Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era demo, which this is the new Heroes of Might and Magic game that is a prequel that Ubisoft is releasing next year. The game, so a demo came out for the game along with a delay announcement. Early access was supposed to start this year. It is not. It's getting pushed to next year. However, they did release a demo for us to tide us over. So I decided to check this out, and I would say I'm actually fairly positive on this right now, which I cannot believe I'm saying this because there has not been a single Ubisoft Heroes of Might and Magic game that I would say much positive about. I think 5 is okay. There are a lot of fans who do really like 5. I'm not a big fan of it personally. I do want to go back. I'm almost curious to like go back and try it now. With all the content and everything, because I never played it with the expansion, so I don't know if they improved it enough to make it like a good game, but that was the last one that anybody would really consider decent. And that was, I mean, fuck, that was like fucking like 15 plus years ago at this point that game came out, so it's been a really long time since we've had a good one. So this game, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I'm reading the comments on it, and a lot of people are saying, one person said, as a person who loved Heroes of Might and Magic 3, Olden Era is going in the right direction. I
Yeah,
don't know, man.
I would say that's the way to put it. I would temper the expectations. I'm not
Okay.
over the moon. There's issues. But they are in the right track. The game has the right vibe. The creature design and a lot of the like the hero design, the combat design is all in the right spot, I think, to feel good for this series. And that was my biggest takeaway from the demo. I think the combat is in a really good spot. They nailed that, and I think that seems to have been their focus up to this point. That's clear to me. Because the combat is the best part of the game right now, like in this demo, which is great because you're going to be doing a lot of that when you're playing this game. But I think the key thing here is they have their statistical systems in a place where things feel fairly balanced. I think I would say right now. I don't know if the AI is any good. That's definitely a takeaway from my first play. I did finish a map, so I won on the highest difficulty. I didn't really have much trouble, frankly, especially later in the game. But that's something they can refine though, right, over the course of early access. So I think the feel of the combat is good, where it plays very much like Heroes 3. It's the hex based combat. You're on one side of the screen, enemies on the other, their armies, and your creatures have your attack, defense, speed. They actually decoupled speed from movement, so it's initiative is what determines who goes first, and then you have a speed stat that's your actual movement stat. That's different from Heroes 3, but I think they've long since fixed that though. That was always kind of a design quirk that didn't make a whole lot of sense back in the day. Admittedly in 3 that isn't a huge issue though. It's kind of weird. It feels okay in that game, even though I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense, but whatever, I digress on that. So yeah, the combat feels cool. I think the factions that we had access to, so we had access to the humans, the dungeon, undead, and what they are calling the schism, which are basically like ice element, like Cthulhu monsters is kind of what that faction is.
Okay.
So those first 3 are human, dungeon, undead. Those are very familiar races for Heroes of Might and Magic, well trodden ground, I would say. A lot of the creatures that I have seen are very much in line with previous games in the series. They're more lined up with Heroes 3 than other games, I would say. They seem to have not reused, but kind of brought over at least half of the factions monster roster is kind of from Heroes 3, and then they filled in the gaps with the 2 or 3 others that they've kind of made up that are new creature types. So I think that works because it kind of keeps it familiar for somebody like me who's so familiar with this series, but also gives some room for them to kind of make these factions a little bit more distinct, because you don't want to just copy the factions from Heroes 3, right? That's not going to make sense for a new game.
I mean, according to the comments, that's what a lot of people want. They just want Heroes 3. Like a
I
lot of the
don't,
comments are
right?
just a lot of the comments are just like, I just want, or not, I want Heroes 3. They're like, it's not Heroes 3. And then people are like, yeah, it's garbage. Because the reviewer is pretty much saying like it's in line with Heroes 3, but it's not all the way there yet. And there's people
Right.
like teasing them saying like, wah, it's not Heroes 3, so it's bad. And then people are like in the comments of that, we're like, yeah, it's true. It is bad because it's not Heroes 3. And like,
I mean,
I'm
you
like,
can't win though if that's your mentality, right? Like Ubisoft can't win. Which, to be fair, do I want them to win? Not really. I wish they would sell this IP to somebody who could do it right. But I still feel that way, regardless of how I feel about this demo. I think I don't take that approach with these games. Like, I want to give them a chance, right? They're not going to make Heroes 3. Heroes 3 is a perfect video game. Like, you're never going to hit that, realistically, coming in as another studio making the series. So,
mhm.
I don't have that expectation on them. I just want them to make a game that's fucking playable, and replayable and is actually fun, that's the bar. that is my bar of success here, with this game. So yeah, I'd say from the faction design, the Schism are the new one. They're like totally new, fresh. There's no real facsimile from the other games as far as I know, up to the ones I've played. Um, and that faction is really cool. They're very interesting. I haven't actually played as them, but I have fought them a lot, so I am somewhat familiar with their creatures. But yeah, it's a lot of like, Cthulhu monster horror type creatures, like cosmic horror type creatures. And they definitely have very interesting abilities. They are strong. There is a lot of like reanimate type abilities with them,
Mhm.
like reanimating their own stacks when you kill them, which is an interesting mechanic with them. So and they are, like I said, they are frost based, so there is some of that, like, movement restriction type stuff with them a little bit as well, um things like that. So that's cool. I think the parts of the game that are not ready, and I'm glad they've delayed the game, is kind of everything else. The interface is really bad right now, and I think that's the big reason they've delayed the game. From what I've heard, is I think they're redesigning the whole interface, because right now I think it's not good. It looks really generic. It doesn't have a lot of style to it. It's also not super functional. There's a lot of buttons and stuff on there that either don't do anything or don't have a tooltip. So you don't know what the fuck they do when you're hovering over them, and you're just kind of guessing at what certain things do, which is not a great place to be. So that all needs to be fixed. I'm sure it will be, but that's all stuff that needs to be fixed. I think the readability of the map is another issue. There's just a lot of locations you can visit on the map, and I think it can be very difficult to visually differentiate them when you're playing the game, and even know what tile you need to be on to interact with the location. I don't think that's really clear either, so far, and that's something I think they need to clean up as well, with it. I will say you can hold the left alt though down, and it will highlight things you can interact with. So that is a nice feature. So it is there. That is there to kind of alleviate that issue. But I do think they need to fix the base readability of the map, as well. Art style is okay. I'm not in love with it. I don't hate it either, but I don't think this is one of those things. They're never going to be able to beat the sprite based style of 3 for me, or 2 even.
Mhm.
Those games are just gorgeous. Like they really are. They're just beautiful to this day. I don't think they will ever age for me. And 3D graphics just cannot compete in the same way, for me. So it is what it is. There's not much you can do there. I will say one thing I do want to see them improve though is the town screens. The town screens are they're very hard to read. They're even worse than the map, actually. It's very difficult to know what buildings you can interact with just by looking at them. They do have a solution for this in the form of there's a whole bunch of buttons on the left side of the screen, basically for all your major town functions. But for me, I don't think those buttons really solve anything because, frankly, if I'm on a town screen, right, and I got my cursor in the middle of the screen, it's more efficient to go directly to the building I want to interact with rather than go all the way to the left side of my screen and click a button, you know? So I don't think the buttons are really a good solution. I would rather them increase the readability of the town screen itself, and you maybe even get rid of those buttons, because I think it would feel better overall for the game for me. Um, so there's that. I think the economy is interesting. Gold seems very abundant actually in the game, which is intriguing. You have a lot more room to increase your income through your town than you used to, at least in the games that I've played. That is an interesting thing. But I will say the way the map generation worked, because they gave us 3 map templates basically to use for random map generation, and the way the map's generated, there aren't a lot of mines on the map. So if the game didn't have this, it would be very difficult to actually catch up and purchase all your shit when you have a certain number of towns. So it kind of works right now, but I think that's the other thing with the adventure map that I really want to see them fix is they need to add more types of interactable locations on the map. A lot of it's very samey right now. It's like creature dwellings, one-time resource or artifact, kind of rewards, like stuff like that, or locations where you can go fight creatures and you get resources basically, or you get some kind of reward. There's just a lot of that. There's not a ton else out there. There are stat increaser buildings that you can interact with for your heroes, which is cool. But I think they need a little bit more variety with the locations on the map. So that's something else I'd like to see. I will say the heroes themselves. This is probably one of the cooler parts of the game where they've iterated, but they haven't gone too far and like change the game to such a degree where it's unrecognizable. So, in Heroes of Might and Magic 3, your heroes will have 8 skill slots basically, and they'll usually start with 1 or 2 skills at level 1. And then you fill in the rest of the skill slots as you level up. You'll get offered 2 skill choices, usually an upgrade to one of your current skills and then a new skill. Is usually how it worked in 3, and those skills would have 3 levels to them, and they're just basically passive buffs to your hero, essentially. Your hero and or your army that you would get. In this game, that is still true. There are 8 skill slots, and they are passive buffs in the same way. However, when you level them up, when you go from basic to advanced to expert, at advanced you get 3 choices of sub skills that give you some kind of additional modifier, and these can range anywhere from making your creature stronger, giving your hero more movement, or all sorts of things. And then the expert version gives you 2 skill choices, and those are usually more powerful than the lower tier version. So you get these 2 skill modifiers that you get to choose when you level the skills up, which I think is a nice little change. It is a little innovative. It does give you a little bit more choice and freedom of how you build your heroes, and also some flexibility. Because that was one of the things with Heroes 3. There are plenty of skills in Heroes 3 that are just shit. Like, they're terrible skills. Like, you would never want them on any hero you would play because they're just bad, period. I think they went out of their way here to make it so that all these skills have at least some amount of utility, even if they're not super useful for the entire game, which I think is a nice positive thing. So you're not going to be like totally bummed. Like if you got scouting, for instance, which scouting basically enhances your hero's visual radius that they can see through the fog of war, basically, in the game. And that skill is obviously only useful when you haven't explored the map. When you get to the end of the game and you've explored the entire map, that skill is completely useless. In this game, scouting does other things, like it has those sub skills, like I said. So, for instance, One of them, I think, on the advanced tree is it lowers the rough terrain penalty by 50% for hero movement, which is always going to be useful for your hero. So that's like a cool thing. They gave scouting a little bit more utility to make it somewhat useful, even if you're forced into taking it. So there's some interesting changes like that. I do think there's an artifact system in the game. They did make some changes here too, where you can disassemble artifacts for something called, I think it's called arcane dust or something along those lines. And you can use that dust to upgrade your artifacts, or the much more useful use of it is upgrading your creature dwellings. You need this dust to upgrade creature dwellings in this game, which makes it much harder to upgrade your town fully quickly. It took me a while to actually upgrade all my dwellings in my main town. And that was interesting to see because um that's not typically the case in, older heroes games. It's usually pretty quick. It's just all resources that you find on the map, mines and whatnot. It becomes very easy to max out your town. So there was a little bit of a gate there that changes up the gameplay pace a little bit. You're not mega strong like super early. So yeah, I don't know. From what I've seen so far, I'm definitely intrigued. I am excited to see more. I'm looking forward to the other two factions when early access comes out next year, and I think they're on the right track. I think they have a lot of work to do though to bring this home, I think, and actually make a good game here. So yeah, it's cool. I think it is cool too though that they released this demo. There's no time limit on the demo. You can play it as much as you want. And they didn't say they would leave it up indefinitely until early access, but that seems to be potentially what's going to happen here. So they didn't say anything otherwise. So, but there is the potential that they'll take it down at some point between now and then. So, but it is cool of them that they kind of gave people a way to play for now. So yeah. Yeah, interesting game. I know you don't really care about this style of game, Montreal, but it's I don't know. This is my bread and butter game genre. So
It looks cool. It actually looks cool. I like this. I think the Heroes of Might and Magic 1 and 2 are a little bit too old for me to get into.
bro, 3 is that's why I love 3 is perfect, right? Because it still looks good today. Like 2 and 1 are very pixelated games. Like they have pixelated art styles,
Mm-hmm.
3 is really crisp. Like it looks really good. But I don't know. Cool.
They got an
So
HD collection of it, so I didn't know they had an HD version of 3.
yes, they do. If you're gonna buy it, get it on GOG. Do not get it on Steam.
Okay.
The Steam version is not the full game, which
Is it?
Ubisoft. No, this is what I mean. Ubisoft has never taken good care of this franchise. Like GOG went out of their way to get the full versions of Heroes of Might and Magic 1, 2, 3, and 4 on their platform. So you can buy all those games as they were fully complete on GOG for very cheap when they're on sale. I mean, $5 or less probably. Whereas Ubisoft at some point 10 or 15 years ago decided to re-release Heroes 3, just the base game on Steam as like a HD version of the game, and they never released the expansions. So
Well, you know what's funny? I'm watching gameplay and I didn't even look at the title. I just clicked on it because it's Heroes of Might and Magic 3. And the title literally says, "Don't buy Heroes of Might and Magic 3 HD Edition."
yeah. Yes, right. No, it's embarrassing that it's still on Steam. Like it's crazy.
I think that's actually an interesting segue to like there was an icebreaker I had.
Okay.
So before I get to my games, but
Sure.
GOG actually came out and they got the original versions of um Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3. Not the remasters, not the remakes. They got the original versions, and they actually
Yeah.
released a statement on it.
Yeah.
And their statement pretty much said Capcom approved it, but they didn't understand why they wanted these versions of the game.
Yeah.
And GOG was like, well, because it's a preservation thing and people want to play the old versions of the game. And
Yeah.
they're like, we don't understand. We remade all these games with bigger, better graphics and a better
Yeah.
system and everything of that nature. And that really got me, that really like unlocked or unveiled, that's the word I'm looking for, unveiled a lot of what corporate thinks about, even
Yeah.
Capcom.
Yeah.
They really don't understand why gamers would want to play older games. And it's like the higher ups, I think. Or maybe it is the developers. I don't know. But I'm assuming if you have to get licensing and stuff like that, you're not necessarily dealing with the developers. You're dealing with the the executive, this
Publisher level.
corporate,
Yeah.
more publisher level stuff. So uh I don't know. I just thought it was just an interesting little side conversation because I think of like, obviously we talk about game preservation not because of like we should have game preservation, but it's just really interesting to hear like corporations be like, well, you guys have the better version of this game. Why
Yeah.
would you want to play the older game? And I think it's really interesting that people apply that logic to video games, but they don't apply that logic to anything else vintage. Like, just because there are better samurai movies doesn't mean I don't want to go see Samurai. I think it was called Samurai 7. I saw in theaters,
Yeah.
at the Texas theater, where it's like the old 1965 or 1950s samurai movie or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that like pretty much was like the go-to era for like, or not the go-to era, but set the mantra for samurai movies from here on out. Like everybody references that movie when they make a samurai. Even like Ghost of Yotai, which I'm going to talk about, has a lot of references to those style of movies or whatever. And you wouldn't say that about movies, though. You wouldn't say, well, we have the bigger and better version of Star Trek. Why would you want to watch the old Star Trek? Like people still
Yeah.
preserve those games or those movies and they still watch it. Even with like something like as minuscule as like Cars, right? You wouldn't tell somebody like I want a 1968 Mustang or a 1969 Camaro, and like why would you want that when you got the new 2025 Camaro or
Yeah.
2025 Mustang? And it's like, why does that logic only apply to video games? What if a kid who was born in 2000 fucking 10 loves Resident Evil, the new Resident Evil games, and they were like, I want to go on a trip and I want to understand these old Resident Evil games, where they come from.
Yeah.
And he wants to go on that trip and understand, the tank controls of Resident Evil, maybe come to appreciate that. I think that's just weird logic. And the reason I point to the executives and everything like that, because I'm pretty sure some of those executives own old cars. So
Yeah. Definitely.
it's just such a weird thing to apply to like video games. And I'm assuming like this is what the industry of publishers feel like when we ask for these old video games. I don't even think it's a matter of like holding the license costs money or whatever. I think they genuinely think because we make these better games, you
Yeah.
guys don't want the old games.
Well, like,
Like,
you remember Jim Ryan, right? Talking about like the old Gran
yeah,
Turismo, like why would
I
anybody
remember
want to
that.
play that? Yeah, like
Yep.
right. And it's like they don't get it. They think that like I don't think they have an appreciation for the ingenuity that was happening back in the day because of the technical limitations of games.
Yeah.
I think they I don't know. It's interesting to think about because I think this is an issue with the industry we've talked about. Is I think executives don't really understand. A lot of them don't really understand like what makes a game fun to us. You know,
Yeah.
it's not that the game looks realistic or has like fucking cutscenes or like I'm thinking of like I don't know, Last of Us or fucking you're gonna talk about like Yote or whatever.
Mhm.
These like more cinematic style games from Sony that are not as don't have as much depth in gameplay. Um, there's a reason why games like Neo and even the Souls games is a good example of like these more deeper gameplay games have such a niche. Is because they aren't being serviced by games that like Sony first party makes, or what you would consider the best looking games don't have gameplay systems as deep as those. So I don't think they understand that conceptually. And like games from back in the day have just as deep of gameplay systems, maybe not control wise necessarily, but they do from the perspective of like statistical systems and things like that sometimes. They're just as deep as modern games in a lot of ways. And I think they don't really understand that nuance. And I think the other thing I'll say too is in the case of like Resident Evil, I can speak to this as somebody who loves Tactics Ogre, is that remakes are not always made in a way that you as a fan want, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's true for Resident Evil fans, but if you liked that more adventure game style of Resident Evil, you don't have that anymore. You're getting action games now,
Yeah.
And that is, I'm sure there are some Resident Evil fans out there who lament that fact.
No,
They
I mean that is a huge contention point right now for Resident Evil fans because
yeah
uh it is more so I will say they gotten a lot better,
yeah
especially with the remakes, like 2 and 3. They turn them into more survival action horror games.
yeah
So you still need to conserve ammo and stuff like that. With the old games though, they were pure like survival horror games.
yeah
I mean they had the tank controls and everything like that. Um, and you had to learn how to maneuver around zombies, or if you should fight the zombie, or they had very intricate puzzles and they had a lot of backtracking and stuff like that. And also, it was just I think we have a lost art of pre-rendered backgrounds. Like Final Fantasy had
mm,
pre-rendered backgrounds,
mm-hmm.
and I think that's
Yeah.
just some lost art. Bait and Kato's had pre-rendered backgrounds and stuff
Oh,
like
they're
that.
so gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's just a lost art because like of the technology that we have now. And I understand why we have the technology you have now. And like we don't need that. And it's just like, yeah, but it's still a lost art. I understand back then they didn't have the technology and that's why they did it. And if they probably had technology today, back then, they would do something different. But you
Yeah.
made a style with what you had. And that style is now gone because of technology. It's such a weird thing
Mm-hmm.
because we want better technology, but we're also like losing our artistic flair as well, if that makes any sense. It's almost like development as well, right?
Yeah.
Like PC development and the biggest thing for PC development is optimization. And
Yeah.
if you go back in the day, people had it was an art to like optimize a game, and we completely lost that art now because
Yeah.
like we have SSD drives and we have all this other stuff of that nature, and we have bigger hardware storage, so we can just put everything on there, and you'll be okay with a 150 gig game. Like you're okay with that, right? And it's like
Well, we're
no, I'm not
seeing this because
actually.
games are not running well, dude, on PS5 Pro.
Exactly.
It's like developers have definitely, I don't want to call them lazy, but like they've lost that. They really aren't even trying to optimize that much, it feels like.
Yeah,
And we're seeing the repercussions of that. So yeah, I totally get your point there. I was
yeah.
gonna mention too, like the other thing I was gonna say too is for me, like Tactics Ogre is the perfect example of why modern games are not necessarily always better, right? Like I think if
Hmm.
if Square Enix's executives believe that Tactics Ogre Reborn has more value to a gamer than the original one on Super NES / PS1, they're totally off base because the 3 Tactics Ogre games, the 2 remakes that they've done for this game now, which if you had told me when I was younger that I would get 2 Tactics Ogre, fucking remakes in my life, I would tell you you're fucking crazy, and I would have been so excited. But the level of disappointment I have for these remakes is high because they totally changed the game. The way the game
Mm.
plays and feels, and the statistical systems aren't right, and the way classes level up is not right. And they did it both times in different ways. The one on PSP, Let Us Cling Together, I'd say is the worst of the 3, probably. In terms of the way the game plays, it's just very restrictive. Like you don't get to like customize your characters the way you did in the original, and that feels bad. I think the new one in Reborn is better but has its own issues, that for like that they brought in for whatever reason. I don't know why they did some of the things they did with that remake, and it's just like, unfortunately, the original game isn't perfect either, though it has its own problems, and it's
Yeah.
like there's no perfect version of Tactics Ogre, even though there's 3 different versions of the game, and it's fucking frustrating for somebody like me because I love all 3 of I love Tactics Ogre. It's one of my favorite fucking games, but like I don't have a version of it that I could definitively point to and say this is the version you play, because even the original has problems, or is so old it's kind of missing features that the newer games have. Like the newer ones, like you know how that game you can make choices during the story that branch you off into different paths. Well, when you beat the game, they unlock this chariot system where you can go back to the major decision points and make the other decision and bring the characters that you have with you through that part of the story and stuff, and you're still able to recruit the characters in those paths, even though you have characters that might not work with them. Like they let you kind of break the rules in the story in order to kind of get like a full complete playthrough of the game. And the original doesn't have that, so it's like you're missing some of this stuff. And like the gear system's a little bit deeper. There's more gear in the game. There's also more content in the two newer ones. They added new battles, they added new locations, they added new characters that you can recruit. They even added new classes in certain cases. So like all of that is missing from the original. So while I think gameplay wise, I think the original is the best, it's the least content complete of the games. So it's like it's just so like if Square Enix yeah, exactly. So if Square Enix executives are going to sit there and say Reborn's the best version of Tactics Ogre, they're totally wrong, you know? And like I could sit here and talk until I'm blue in the face about why, but it's like, so that I think to your point, this going back, bringing this all back to what GOG said, right? This is why I like GOG. They have a very old school mentality as a company, and they want to preserve games the way they were in the 90s, in the 80s, and the 2000s, whenever they came out, and for that reason, we have a lot of games like, dude, like even Blizzard's games are on there, right? Like you can play Diablo 1 and 2 the way they were back in the day. You can't do that through Blizzard anymore,
I think that's just crazy to me, dude. Like that's insane.
Yeah, it is. It's a mistake.
I mean, does it cost money to like hold these old games?
No, I think it's more of a the companies don't find value in preserving that old stuff and celebrating it, I guess is what I would say.
Okay.
And that's disappointing because I'm thinking of games like, like Heroes is a good example, right? Here's Might and Magic. The more modern Heroes games that are 3D are slower to play. They take longer to do the same things that you could do in the old games. Heroes 3 plays incredibly fast. I can get through months of that game in a couple hours, whereas when I played Olden Era, dude, I played for 5 hours and I think I got through a month, of in-game time, know, and that is a difference that is a negative to me, and I'm not the type of player who wants to increase animation speed to speed that up, I like watching the animations. Like I enjoy that part of the game, so that is a difference though. And the old game is just crisper and faster in general, in every way. Like it just plays more quickly. And more modern games are a little bit more plodding and it takes more time to do basic things. It's like, and that time adds up, and that is a disadvantage that these newer games have to overcome as well. And I think that those are the kind of things that I don't think developers or the executives think about, is that older games, as much as they had technical limitations, they tended to play better because of those technical limitations. They literally the game had to play at 30 FPS, a lot of the time, or it like wouldn't function because it would play so slow. So they had to get it optimized, And I think that's, like you were saying, is kind of a lost art now. So,
well, on top of that, I understand now games are competing with everybody's attention. I understand you're not only competing with other video games, you're competing with like Netflix, you're competing with your phone to keep your attention and all this other stuff like that. And I understand that. I personally think though developers are thinking about this in the wrong stratosphere. Or maybe it's not developers, maybe it's like the executives pushing this onto the developers. I think a lot of developers should actually study the old games, and to granted, maybe they do, but they should study older games and figure out why those games. And it's because for me, like, yeah, you can say, and me and you say it all the time, like nostalgia or whatever, right? But a lot of it, I can play older games. Like I'm about to go back and play some of the older Trails games, and it's like that's not nostalgia. I never touched those games before. I really want to play those games. Those games look like the art style genuinely looks like some PSP type shit, and I'm just like, that looks really cool to me. Um, and I think a lot of like younger gamers kind of yearn for that type of shit. Um, I mean, I know probably statistically speaking, that would probably go against what I'm saying, but I think there's a reason why a lot of indie games and everything like Undertale, a lot of young gamers love Undertale, but that
Yeah.
shit looks like a fucking NES game. You know,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But they love that game. And I just think there's some kind of value in learning like what makes these games. Why do people love the
Mhm.
older Mario games? Why do people love the older Sonic games? Why do people love the older Crash Bandicoot games or the Tomb Raider games or all these other games? Because I was playing the old Tomb Raider and I played that game for hours, and then I popped in a new Tomb Raider and I can barely play it for like 2 hours, bro. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's just not the same.
Well, it's
Like,
like cumbersome to play. Old games are, dude, they're quick. You just get in and you play, and it's just you're going. You know, like newer games are like they need to be fucking immersive and realistic, bro. You know,
yeah,
so
yeah, I
it's
think
like
that's what it
so
is.
like walking down a road has to take fucking 10 minutes. You know, because it's real. You know, we want you to really feel like you're a Tomb Raider. You know,
Yeah,
like
and exactly like with Tomb Raider 1, it loads up the first. You get a cutscene, obviously for lore, and then it loads in, and you're just playing, and you're just
yeah,
like,
right,
it doesn't even tell you the controls of the game or
yep,
nothing. It's just
right,
like play the
yep,
fucking game, dude. Like,
yeah,
and
right,
and
yeah,
that's what I did. Whereas, like, yeah, you're right with Tomb Raider, like with the Shadow of the Tomb Raider or Rise of the Tomb Raider, like they all had this like long drawn out like, oh, this is how you pick up the gun. And, oh, this is how Laura has to like do all these cinematic things to
yeah.
like
This is how you take an arrow out of your quiver and knock it in your bow. Like,
it's,
like,
yeah, it's like, yeah, like just let. I think that's another thing too, bro. Just let people play video games. But then I'm going to get into Ghost of Yotai now.
okay,
There's another segue.
let's do it.
So,
I'm curious.
uh, before I get into what I was playing, I was watching other people play this game.
Mm,
There's a particular section where like thunder's coming down, and you have to do the bamboo strike thing,
mm,
and I realized there are a certain number of gamers actually who just don't know how to play a video game, if that makes
yeah,
right. Because if the thunder and lightning keeps coming down the bamboo strike area, obviously you can't do it in that because it'll literally cut you out. I mean, it'll literally interrupt your cutscene for that, and you can't finish the bamboo strike thing. So obviously you have to come back or you gotta do something else. And I realized also I don't know if you ever heard of this guy called DSP. Um, he's a
don't think so.
he's an older YouTuber who plays video games or whatever, and he was playing God of War. And the God of War 2, they literally used him as he's like a really popular YouTuber. Not really popular, but he's like a meme YouTuber. People
Yeah,
meme him a lot or whatever, but he's not like
yeah.
favorited by anybody, if that makes any sense. Anyway, um, and they use him as an example. They literally use him like in their I think it was in their GDC like interviews or whatever. And when they talk about game
Mm,
development for God of War 2, they're
mhm.
like, this is the type of gamer we target. And like that's why we put the yellow paint there. So you can know where to climb at. That's why we do that for this type of gamer.
Mm.
And it's like,
No.
and I had to
Wait,
I
so
had
he
to
didn't know
catch
where to go? He couldn't figure out where to go in God of War?
he couldn't figure out where to go in God of War. And there are people
Okay.
like that and also in like
I mean,
'cause
okay, how bad was it though? I guess like what's the scale here? Like did it take him like 20 minutes to like get out of a screen or
Yeah. Yeah.
no
It took him
way,
like
bro.
20 minutes to get out of an area. And then there was another guy who posted his Ghost of
That's
Yotai
crazy.
footage and he didn't know where to climb. Ghost of Yotai is not as subtle. It has like white marks
It is
the
bird shit
cliffside.
from what I heard.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. And it's not as
Yeah.
bad as like, in my opinion, like Ghost of Tsushima was more broad and like where you should climb at, right? And then
Yeah.
Ghost of Yotai is a little bit more reserved. The dude couldn't figure out where to go. And then also he couldn't figure out like like you couldn't do the bamboo strike there or whatever. You couldn't do this or that. And it's like he kept trying to do it. He's like, this is unacceptable. And he tagged like Sucker Punch Studios in the tag in the thing or whatever. And I was just like, damn, like. And then I was watching another foot gameplay thing of like, it's this like indie game. I don't know what the game was called, but this dude was like trying to teach his girlfriend how to play, and she got through. Like, it was teaching her how to do a wall jump or whatever, to jump from wall to wall. He was kind of telling her like, okay, walk up to the wall, jump on it, and then jump to the other side. And she was having difficulty doing that, but she got to it. The one part she failed at, which I was reading the comments, and a lot of people were like, yeah, either my girlfriend / boyfriend fails at this part who doesn't play video games, is a double jump part. And the instructions, when it got to it, it was telling her in the tutorial, press X twice to double jump and to get over to the gap. She did it, but she was doing it too fast. So she was double jumping and it looked like a regular jump. And she's like, I'm doing it. I don't understand what I'm doing. And it's just like, they don't understand that you have to kind of like time the jump for the double jump. Yeah. And it's just like, I don't understand it. Like, okay, it's not like I don't understand. I understand, but I don't understand how you develop a game for like this generation. Because back in the day, we had games like that, but we were also like 5, 6, 7, 10, 11. And these are grown ass people. And like, yeah, I figured out how to do certain puzzles in fucking Resident Evil at the age of 8. And I don't think I'm like a fucking Einstein.
Dude, if video games hadn't started in the, you know, back when they did, and they were starting now, like the NES was coming out in the last like 10 years, and this was the beginning of video games, I don't think it would take off. Because the games were too hard. Like, I don't think people now would be able to play the games.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, though. Yeah. Like, these games are a lot easier, but they made them easier to cater to. Like,
yeah, that's all Sony makes, right? Is like that they're making casual games. Like, they don't really make deep. Like, God of War is probably the closest you're gonna get with Sony's stable, and that game is not a super deep combat game, you know.
Yeah, but I guess my point is like, I don't know what the point is. I think my point is just like, I personally did not understand how bad it was when other people play video games until I actually see them play it, and I'm like, oh fuck.
Well, how are you to know, right? Like, we don't know, you know. It's like we're not interacting with people that much, like in that way. Like, you don't go to people's houses and watch them play video games anymore the way that used to happen.
True.
And like, so you're not going to see people in that environment, generally speaking. And then even online, you'd have to run into a video of somebody who's not very good, which, you know, is probably going to be kind of rare, you know, at least the way we consume for what we consume.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not looking for that kind of thing, you know? So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that you don't see it that much and you're not really thinking about it. Cause it's like, yeah, it's probably way more common than we think, though.
I think that's why we do have, like, how we were talking about the difference between Tomb Raider and then Shadow or Rise of Tomb Raider or something of that nature, and the way they approach the video game is like, yeah, I will watch. There are like clips and stuff of people playing older games, like they would play older Tomb Raider. It's not telling me where to go, and it's like, yeah, it's not going to tell you where to go. Just run around and figure it out, bro.
Yeah,
like, bro. You know, like there isn't any prompts to tell you press X to pick up this or whatever. There aren't prompts at all for that. It's just play the game.
Yeah, and I think old games kind of assume that the player would just try all the buttons, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's I don't know if, and I understand over the course of time that has happened, right? We have slowly introduced tutorials into games to now where that's the staple, and now we expect games to tell us how to play the games.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time for us to kind of revert back a little bit and be like, just play the fucking game, bro, and you'll figure it the fuck out. But it's too late now because, like you're saying, right? People will be really upset by that type of like gameplay or whatever.
Right. They wouldn't.
So anyway, they wouldn't gravitate towards it at all. Kind of like how I just jumped into League and I was just like, I didn't know what the fuck I'm doing. I was playing Jinx mid. Like, okay, cool. And, you know,
you were probably winning games too, man.
And then I gradually understood like, oh, she goes bot lane and everything like that. But anyway, so Ghost of Yotai. I am playing this game a lot. I will say that it I'll get the positives out. I do like
Did they
Atsu
just
as a
make the
character.
same game again?
Yeah. Yes, they did.
Okay.
They did.
Yeah,
They
that
did.
that seems to be the consensus. Okay.
Unfortunately, they made the same game again. And it's a lot more. I wouldn't say harder, but longer to get certain things like your kunai. It took me like I was like 20 hours until I got my kunai or whatever. Like I don't even know if they got smoke bombs in the game like they had in the old game.
Mhm.
The dual swords are cool, but they replaced the weapon switching or the stance switching with weapons now.
Yeah.
So for lances, you use the dual swords that go against lances or spears or whatever, and then for shields, you use the or Kurisama or Kurisama Gama or whatever. And then for your katana, you just use against katanas or whatever the case may be. I don't know. So you get the Yari and everything of that nature. So it's like yes, and bro, honestly,
yeah.
Honestly, if I were you, I mean, I know you were already gonna wait. I'll just wait to buy it.
I'm not. I have no plan to play
Yeah.
this game anytime soon. Like it's
Yeah,
gonna be an on sale, deeply on sale game probably for me before I decide to play. Because, like, I think the point I didn't get across last week about the weapon thing, the weapon swapping, is I think if you're gonna do something like that between games, like in a franchise, you're gonna have stances, and then you're gonna take that away and go to a weapon swapping system. To me, that indicates that you're trying to have a little bit deeper combat, is kind of what I was hoping for with the game. And it sounds like they just side graded, they didn't, it's like the same thing, just in a different form, and
yes,
there's like a
and,
little bit more of it.
that's
um,
exactly what they did, unfortunately.
yeah. So,
And
and I am, I don't know. I don't want to derail you too much, but like, I am like really questioning why they made this game. Like, I don't really,
that was gonna be my other thing. This game could have been DLC.
Yeah.
Like straight up.
Yeah.
The the game is way more gorgeous and vibrant. I will say that.
Sure.
I love the what I think it's called Watabi mode where you can play like the lo-fi samurai shampoo type music in the background.
Watanabe mode?
Watanabe.
Is that
I
right?
love that. Yep. You can play that in the background, and it does add a lot of
it's music, right?
to the and it actually changes when you go into combat as well. So
Okay.
I think it makes me feel like I'm playing like a samurai shampoo type game or whatever.
Yeah.
I do like. So I don't know if I like the era or not. I do like the villain. I do like the main villain a lot. He seems to be a little bit more nuanced. He's way. I'll say this. He's way more. I do like Atsu. Atsu's the main character, and I do like her a lot. I just do. I'm trying to figure out why people like her more than Jin Sakai. So, because she's a great character. Don't get me wrong. Like, she's not a bad character, but she is one note. If that makes any sense, her whole thing is like revenge, and she's like a hardened. Yes. She's a hardened woman in this, and she has to be, right. She has to be in this type of environment because there are very, very little female warriors in this time period and stuff like that. But I mean, you learn stuff about her, and it's like you learn how she got her skills, and it was like, oh, well, I did this in the past or whatever the case. And you don't play that past part, but they always reference it, right?
Yeah.
But you don't play it, but they always reference it. And I don't really want to spoil it for anybody because I mean, it's not really spoilers. I guess it's just her past. So she fought in the past war, one of the past major wars of that time period in Japan. They call it the South, which is mainland Japan, because they're in the north. They're on a real island called Ezo. So you're in the north part of Japan. It's kind of separated from the mainland, or whatever. And that's where the Innu people are at, which is like the more of the darker skinned Japanese people. That usually that if you look at their lineage, they like those are people that migrated from like the Siberian, like the ice caps and everything of those natures and everything of that nature. So that's why they're a little bit more like dark skinned and stuff of that nature. So they got those people in there and they're being properly represented and everything of that nature. Uh I personally think they kind of threw in the whole wolf thing. Like you have a twin brother. That's not spoilers. You get that in the beginning of the game. So everything I'm saying is at the beginning of the game. And they call you, your dad's nickname is called the Twin Wolves and stuff like that. And it's just like, it's kind of like, I would say this game is more traditional anime style arc than like Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah. Ghost of Tsushima was like, you saw why he became the ghost. In this game, they just call her the ghost because she's like, because she's like a hardened mercenary. Because like she's a hardened mercenary.
You would think that nickname would have some significance though in history of this timeline. Presumably, like think about it, right? They obviously decided not to explore this story, but the Mongol invasion didn't end at the end of Ghost of Tsushima.
Right? It didn't, right? Exactly.
Like, it was still going on. So presumably, I would assume that Jin continued to fight them, after the events of that game. So I would assume in history, he's like a super fucking famous person, at least the ghost would be. So
and I was waiting for a reference to like anything that happened to Tsushima, bro. And they just don't reference it at all, bro. Maybe I'm missing the Easter eggs, weird. But like like playing this game, I don't understand, like to your point, why we just didn't do Ghost of Tsushima 2. We could have still had a female lead, but she could have been like 100 years or like maybe 50 years at the Jinsekai. We're still fighting the Mongol invasion. I don't know how long the Mongol invasion lasted. I think it lasted for a while actually. Or
a long time, dude.
Yeah. So we could have had it like maybe 20 years or 10 years at the Jinsekai. He's training like a pupil or something like that, right? And she could have been it could have been a female. Like I like Atsu. I just don't like what the storyline they put Atsu in. I think the character is gorgeous. I think the character is really strong.
Yeah.
I just don't like her storyline. I think her storyline is generic. I want to kill these people because they killed my family. And it's just like, all right, cool. How many times have we seen this? And it's like, there's nothing wrong with the generic storyline or a generic, like, premise. But like and like I said, once again, I'm not spoiling anything. You kill one of the Yotai. They're called the Yotai 6 or whatever. And you kill one of the Yotais like the first 5 minutes of the game or whatever. And then after that, they call you, you have a bounty out for you. And you're literally called like one of the ghosts of Yotai or the Onyo, which is like lady killer, lady ghost, demon type thing or whatever. Because you killed him and you killed that, because you killed one of the Yotai 6 because Saito is he escaped from the mainland, who was the leader of this Yotai 6. He escaped from the mainland after he lost, because he was on the losing side. A lot of people from the north in Ezo were on the losing side of the war, and they just like, well, the war's over, and I'm going back up north or whatever.
Yeah.
He was one of them, and your father, who's who used to be a part of his crew or used to be in his army or whatever, kind of deserted. He did desert, and everything of that nature. And and he comes back, and like I said, I'm not spoiling anything, or whatever the case may be. And then he comes back and kills everybody, whatever. I think it's interesting how that happens. That's very interesting. So I'm not going to spoil that, but So throughout the game, though, there are themes of like people are like, well, maybe you shouldn't seek revenge, or maybe you should, or I understand why you're doing this, or it's just like little quest lines trying to like really question. They're trying to put the morality of what Atsu is doing on her, and like she reflects on it in like the pools and stuff of that nature. I just don't think it has the same pool as Jin Sakai. Like. It doesn't have the same weight of him going against, because honestly, in this era, honor is not really a big thing anymore. It's not a big factor
Yeah.
anymore in this time period. People use guns now.
This is the time of the Ronin, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. It's a time when they're Ronin. So Ronin are roaming around. People use guns now. There are actual shinobi around now. So like this idea of what Jin Sakai was doing back in the day, that
yeah,
idea is like full. It's fleshed out now. Like people are they actually call them shinobi and stuff like that, right? Because when you were playing as Jin Sakai, there really wasn't a such thing as a ninja or a shinobi
yeah,
or whatever the case may be.
yeah,
Um, so it's a more established world that you're in. Um, I do like Ezo though because it's a more country based part of of uh
mm,
of Japan, but I also don't like it from that aspect because I don't think a lot of the keeps so far that I've infiltrated and everything like that aren't really designed for stealth. They're designed for you to just
yeah,
like go in and fuck shit up or whatever. Like you can approach them with stealth or whatever. But in my opinion, like
yeah,
uh Ghost of Tsushima's design, world design, or keeps or you know strong code designs were better because they were designed for either stealth or whatever. They had a lot of intricate points and stuff like that for stealth and everything.
yeah,
I just don't think she has that many interesting things as far as stealth or whatever, or
mm,
at least it looks like they kind of nerfed it a little bit or whatever.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I don't know. I just think me personally, I try to I am playing it. It has kept me hooked, and I am playing it a lot. I'm not going to say I don't like the game because I love the game. I mean, I like it a lot. Uh, but as far as like, is it better than Ghost of Tsushima? No, it's literally more of the same. It,
yeah.
it is. They didn't bring almost nothing new to this table. I mean, you can watch IGN's top 8 things they did different from Ghost of Tsushima, and it's like they really didn't do. Once you play the game, you're like, this is Ghost of Tsushima. Like this is not Ghost of Yotai. This is Ghost of
That's
Tsushima.
crazy, man. I can't
Yeah,
believe that though. Like even because I mean, it sounds like even if they made another Ghost of Tsushima, like they just made a sequel to the first game, like a true sequel. I don't. It doesn't sound like they were very inspired when they were designing this game. So it wouldn't have been much better than the first one either. It just would have been more Jin Sakai. And just to give some context, actually, so I was reading about the Mongolian invasion of Japan. It actually was only 7 years,
oh, okay.
1274 to 1281, and it was two major invasions that happened years apart, and they both happened on Tsushima Island and Iki
Mm,
Island. So they actually covered it with the first game pretty extensively.
okay.
Maybe they felt boxed in by history here that they would have, they either would have had to tell an alternate history tale and go somewhere else, or retell basically the same story again in the same place. you know,
Yeah, that makes
um,
sense. So I
and
understand why they went to a
I
different
yeah,
time period.
looking at this, I do kind of understand why they moved on. I guess, but I don't know. They could have done something else with Jin if they really wanted to.
I just think
Assuredly,
the
but
the Age of Ronin is okay. I would have preferred more of the age of the Japanese Civil War when like all
yeah,
these other factions were going against each other and they needed like shinobi to infiltrate other factions and stuff like that. I guess that
yeah,
would have been controversial because a lot of people have different opinions in Japan about that type of stuff. I don't really know, but obviously like but I mean, they did games like that before, right? I mean, Neo 2 was one of those games. Sekiro was like at the end part of that game. The Ashina was a part of
yeah,
that war. That's an actual faction,
yeah.
uh, and everything. So like they done this before. Uh, I just I don't know. The Age of Rome is a very interesting era. Um, I personally just don't feel like it's as strong as Ghost of Tsushima 2. I mean, maybe I have to play Ghost of Tsushima 2. Ghost of Tsushima. I maybe have to go back and play Ghost of Tsushima, but I just feel like, dude, like yeah. Like it's okay. It's an 8 out of 10 for me. Like it's not terrible. It's not a terrible game by far. I
Yeah.
can't give that. I can't say that at all. But I
Good
can't
game,
help
but
but
not
feel.
inspired. Like they didn't.
There you go. There you go. That's a
Yeah,
really
they
good point.
didn't.
Good game.
They just made a good game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I personally think they should just. I don't want to say drop the Ghost of franchise, but like move on to something different. And then if they come back, be more inspired to tell another story somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm kind
Um,
of with you. I kind of hope they move on to some other franchise, like a new IP going after
yeah.
this.
I
Because
would love for them to revisit the Infamous IP, honestly,
yeah,
me
yeah,
personally. But yeah, either just a new IP in general or something of that nature. I think the Ghost series, uh, you can definitely tell they can't really go anywhere. They kind of lockstep themselves in because this also has like a more of a folklore as well,
mm,
because there are
mhm.
some mystical elements that happen in the game way more so than Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima, they're more grounded.
Yeah,
And I mean like mystical elements. They're like she's like they're like animals leading you places and stuff like that. And she's like kind of talking to the animals, and the animals are kind of responding to her. And
yeah,
like other people are taking care of certain animals and stuff like that. And the animals are kind of responding to it. So it has more of a mystical, grounded element to it,
yeah,
more of a folklore element to it, which I kind of like. I like that as well. Um, and it makes me think they really wanted to go. They kind of wanted to add like a magic element to the game, but they couldn't because
yeah,
they're like, we're already grounded by Ghost of Tsushima being realistic. And I feel like if they were to do another Ghost game, they would have to just go that route and just say, fuck it. We're gonna add mystical elements to this game or whatever. So I think the game would have benefited from that, in my opinion.
yeah, yeah,
Even with Ghost of Tsushima, it had a mystical element with it. Like some of the moves that Jin can do. Like you remember, you can pop the smoke and then assassinate 5 guys in like a second or something like that.
yeah,
Like,
yep,
that's like
yep.
mystical, you know. Um, and
Well, he had that like powered up mode too, where he would one shot enemies.
yeah, she has that too. Yeah,
Okay, she does. Okay,
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like nothing really changed. I can't really point out to any single thing.
that's
Like I
weird.
like the dual
Yeah,
swords, dude, but like I don't know, man. Like they just made it like more. They just made a more refined Ghost of Tsushima. That's the only thing I can say, in my
okay,
opinion. And they changed the character. That's it.
cool. Well,
Yeah. So it would definitely for me, if you didn't buy this game, either catch it on Black Friday or just wait till next year when it's like half off or something like that and buy it then.
yeah, cool.
The next game I've been playing is Battlefield 6. I am totally
Yeah.
in love with this game, dude.
Okay. Battlefield's
Uh
back.
yeah, man. I can confidently say that. I don't know how much you guys would like it.
Yeah.
It is a squad based game, but it's not like it is tactical, but like there's so many squads that um it's kind of hard for one squad to dominate the map or whatever. So I don't know what type of like game you're looking for, if that makes any sense. With Battlefield, I would recommend you watch gameplay and see if you like it.
Yeah.
Um, Particularly you, and I know because you say you're interested in this. Um, it is squad based. It is like more team focused. One person cannot just dominate the entire map. There have been times I went like 30-6 or 30-5, and we still lost the game or whatever because like everyone needs to cooperate.
Well,
Uh,
there's 64 players on each team, isn't there? Or is it 32?
it's 32.
32. Okay. Still,
Yeah,
that's a fuck ton, dude. Like,
yeah, yeah. It's
one
32
one
and
person
32.
out of that is not going to have a huge impact necessarily. So,
Yeah, and I will say even though I wish there was more like a proximity chat or something like that, because
yeah.
there are sometimes where I want to convey to like people like, hey, throw smoke or whatever. We need smoke because like I'm on a console, so I would have to plug in a keyboard just to type. And I wish I could use the on-screen keyboard to do that or whatever, but I can't. Only PC players can like really type it and stuff like that or whatever. And I really want that aspect of like teamwork in the game or whatever. I mean that teamwork is there because people actually like when we start getting low on tickets or whatever the case, people start like locking the fuck in and like reviving each other or spotting each other.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
recon people will actually use their equipment to spot other players and stuff like that. Um, so the game and the community is like really good actually.
Yeah.
Um, So I don't have any complaints there. They do need to work on some weapon balancing issues or whatever. Like the weapon bloom is kind of outrageous. Um, and things of that nature. But besides that, I mean, that's going to be standard Battlefield stuff, and they're going to tweak it. I do think the progression needs to be a little bit faster, as well. It's really slow to progress and unlock stuff in the game. I do think they need to like make that like 20 to 30% faster. I don't want it as fast as it is in the beta, because obviously they were just trying to like test stuff out in the beta.
Yeah.
But I do need it to be a little bit faster for like more casual players who just want to jump in and play, unlock some stuff, and then jump out or whatever, like myself. Because I don't want to be playing the game 7 hours a day or 8 hours a day or whatever.
Yeah. Right.
So I did put in the chat, PC players ruin everything.
Yeah.
And I put this in there because I genuinely think PC players ruin everything. They've already banned like 3 to 4,000 people for fucking cheating already, dude. You can, bro. It's so obvious when you get killed by a PC person, dude. And it's like sometimes they're not even cheating. I know they're just using their mouse and keyboard, and it's like, I'm like, you're just masturbating to this game, bro. You are masturbating to this game. You didn't take a day off playing this game, bro.
Yeah.
Because like sometimes the way they kill me, I was like, watch, because they'll show you the emblem if it's a PC, Xbox, or PlayStation player. And I'm like, every time I got killed, it was some bullshit, and I got killed. I'm like, PC player. Lo and behold, fucking PC player. And I'm like, dude, these motherfuckers, dude. Like, I don't know what we do about this fan base or this gameplay base. I actually hate cross playing with PC players, bro. It's bad as Apex as far as like, and this is not just a Battlefield thing. It's just they're too try hard, bro. Like, and it's not. Maybe it is because I'm unk now. I'm an unk and I'm washed. But like, bro, go get a fucking life, bro. Like on like, oh my god, dog. It's so obnoxious, bro. You can easily just tell when you're playing with PC people.
Yeah.
They're not a fun player base to play around with. They always looking for the optimal spot to fucking camp and look at me, I'm sniping, and it's like, bro, like sometimes I just want to play the game and I don't want to play against, MLG Pro 556-233, whatever, dude, or whatever. I'm on my Steam with my little Steam binds. Look at me, and it's like, bro, I don't care, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I know I'm like bitching about it or whatever, and I'm a PC player, but I don't know how to explain it to y'all because like not all of them are cheating, but it just feels like they're cheating. It feels like, dude, like. Some of the shit they do, I'm just
it's an advantage to play on mouse and keyboard, dude. And, I as great as crossplay is, I don't think it's great for shooters. I really don't. I think you have a much stronger control profile on mouse keyboard in a first person shooter specifically. I think third person's a little better in that regard, but. I just think and Apex was the worst with this, right? I think the faster the game is, the more of an advantage you have on mouse keyboard. But Battlefield's not that fast, but I mean it's still there though. You have more fine control over your cursor, and your crosshair. So it's I don't know. Yeah, if I were playing Battlefield, I probably would turn crossplay off. I don't know if I want to deal with that shit.
But see, I did do that, right? And then you get placed in games full of like bots and stuff like that. So it's not really that fun.
Yeah.
You get you might get like 10 or 15 players out of like a 32-on-32 battle. You know what I'm saying? Huh. Yeah, because I turned it off. At one point I was like really frustrated. I turned it off.
That sucks.
Yeah, and like you can tell when other players are just like, I just want to play a casual experience. I don't even care if it's bots. And like you can tell. But like I like playing against actual players. It's not bad per se. It's just you can tell when you're playing against a PC player compared to when you're playing when you get killed against like a controller player or whatever the case may be. You can tell. And they're not fun to play against. And I know our group chat would strongly be against that because they're majority PC players, and like we're like the one or two. Me and you are like we're hybrid players, so we play. If we can play it on console, we're gonna play it on console. But
right. Most of the time, yeah.
But I don't know, man. That's just how I feel. I'm not really a big fan of like PC players on crossplay. Unfortunately, I think it's I don't know how you balance it out. They complain about strong aim assist for controllers, and to the point where they'll like kind of mimic their PC to mimic a controller or a console with like the Zen, Cronus Zen, and stuff like that. So you don't want
Yeah.
that, obviously. But I don't know how you. I don't know what you do. I wish there was a way where you can just like I want to go into like a PlayStation only lobby or a place, and there'll be a lot of players in that thing with just PlayStation only or PlayStation and Xbox only.
Yeah.
I think PC players, um, they're too hardcore, man. They're just too hardcore for me, So that's my
Yeah.
take on that.
No, I mean, we talked about it with League, right? It's the same problem everywhere. Like, everybody's trying to try hard all the time. And it's like, dude, I just want to get home from work. I'm tired already, and I just want to chill and play a fucking game and have a little fun, playing some multiplayer game. And it's like, these people are literally playing like they're in a fucking $1 million tournament, and it's like, dude, like we're trying to play two different games, and it's like that. It's just annoying. I don't know. So I'm with you. I understand. All right. Is that it? That's all you've been playing?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Let's move on to the news, which I know you guys are probably tired of this at this point. We've been talking about Xbox for like 3 weeks straight. We got another Xbox story. So bear with us here. This one, though, is debatable about its validity. So there was a rumor over the weekend that got started on Reddit and then actually got picked up in the news cycle that there were some people who are claiming to be employees of Target and Walmart saying that they are getting rid of Xbox stock in their stores. And this is obviously anecdotal, right? These are individuals talking about their experiences at their stores. This was not confirmed beyond that, really. However, it got picked up, like I said, and then Windows Central came out and released a story saying, what was the headline? No, Target and Walmart are not removing Xbox products from their stores as Xbox misinformation reaches new levels. We'll talk about that specifically in a second. So they refuted it. However, there has been some like scuttlebutt that individually in certain parts of the country, there are people saying that like their Target/Walmart doesn't have any Xbox shit or has very little Xbox shit. Like there aren't consoles anymore. There's just games, or there aren't even games. It's just like game cards and a few accessories left, and stuff like that. So, whatever's going on here, maybe there's nothing specifically, but it might have revealed that this has been a longer term thing actually happening anyways. That Xbox product is leaving the retail spaces, and there wasn't like a big push for it. It's just that they're not restocking it necessarily. That's kind of more the vibe I'm getting at this point. I will say there's an interesting wrinkle with Windows Central here, though. They seem very butthurt about these rumors that have been continuing to get circulated the last few weeks, because we've mentioned them every week. They're coming out and trying to refute these stories. I don't know what's going on with that, because they almost feel like Microsoft, like they're almost being paid by Microsoft. It's like, obviously they're not, but like they're coming off as fanboys to me a little bit, which is weird. Because like Jez Corden is a pretty well-known reporter and fairly well respected, but the behavior of the last few weeks has been a little weird, I feel like. And I don't really understand why. Because the way they refuted this was calling individual like Targets and Walmarts near where they live, and it's like, okay, so we have anecdotal evidence up against anecdotal evidence. It's like, no, we're not proving anything really, here. So, but Montreal. So yeah, with that groundwork laid, I mean, what do you think of this whole situation? Are you feeling like, Xbox is on its way out at these retailers, or are we overblowing this?
I feel like they are not equipped. You know what? I'm going to say what I said in the chat. I think we are now seeing what's going on now, and
Yep.
unfortunately, I think the entire Xbox brand was nothing but pure luck at this point.
Yeah.
I think Xbox 360. I
Yeah.
would give it. It's been almost 15 years, and DJ, you won. Xbox PlayStation 3 is better than Xbox. Um, at this point, Xbox 360 was nothing but pure luck. Um, they failed. They made it because PlayStation lost it. If
Yeah.
that makes any sense. They did not do it of their own volition, and uh, unfortunately, uh, yeah, it's just unfortunate. Unfortunately, bro, Xbox. The reason I say this because we didn't put it in the story, but we put it in our own group chat.
Yeah.
They had the Xbox UK posted something saying this is Xbox, and it showed like the Rogue Ally. It had the Xbox console. It had the flip phone, or had the phone, a cell phone, and it had the actual like the streaming TV device,
Yeah.
and that they're about to come out with and roll out and everything of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people in the comments were like, "You really don't understand what the fuck Xbox is, or what
Yeah.
Xbox means to your player base." And after 15 or 12 years, man, ever since that Xbox One reveal, I can finally say they don't understand it, like, at all. They have zero idea of what made Xbox popular. They have lost the plot. Um, and now I feel like retailers are looking at them like, you guys lost the plot.
Yeah.
And they're trying to dwindle down. I don't blame retailers, and I think this is true. I think it is individual ones, like maybe franchise or
Certain
uh,
areas of the
certain
country.
certain areas
Yeah.
of the country
Right.
where this is happening. And I do think this is individual, uh, or not individual, but I do think this is more anecdotal. But I do think it's happening, and I think it's happening at an alarming rate. And now they're trying to do damage control, like with the podcast, like you said, and with like other mediums and stuff of that nature.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, I kind of agree. I think I do believe this is happening as well to some degree. I don't think it's like a full, like I don't think the entirety of Target is getting rid of Xbox, but yeah, I think in certain areas like they know the sales numbers, right? Like within their store. Like they know. So if they have a specific store in a specific area that can't sell hardware, like can't sell Xbox hardware, why do they carry it there? That's store space they could dedicate to something else, that might
exactly.
might sell. And these companies make these decisions all the time. They're very granular actually with what they do in their individual stores. Like that's why Target and Walmart are very successful. They don't make the same store everywhere they go. Like obviously it looks the same, it has the same departments, but the exact product makeup of every store is going to be different, to some degree. So yeah, I think this is totally happening for sure. And I think the interesting part about Windows Central and some of this kind of blowback from the Xbox, what I would call the Xbox media coverage, is I think these people are maybe hitting out because they're concerned about their future. I mean, if Xbox is gone, like, what are they going to cover? Like, I guess they'll become PlayStation, reporters or fucking Nintendo. Like, your niche is going to be gone, and they're going to have to like rebuild themselves. So that might be why Jez and Windows Central are so, I don't know, sensitive about these rumors. I guess is the way I'd put it. Because I think maybe they fear for their jobs at Windows Central specifically because like them working there, if Xbox is gone and they're the Xbox reporters, they either go off games or they're not part of the company anymore. Like they don't have a purpose at the outlet. So I don't know. That's kind of what I think is happening there. But I don't know. I mean, we're gonna continue to see it. I mean, dude. I mean, what was it last year that we heard numbers that they couldn't even sell like 250,000 Xboxes in a quarter? Like, I mean, dude, we're well beyond the point where their hardware was viable. It's like this is this is it's just we're in a slow death. We're watching a slow motion car crash. Like that's pretty much what's happening. So I don't know. I don't think there's much more to say. We'll continue to watch it. We've said a lot the last few weeks, so you guys can go listen to those if you haven't. But it's I do think the point about misinformation or whatever. Like, people are believing this stuff there because it's plausible. If you said this about Nintendo or Sony, there's no shot anybody would believe it, even the most hardcore haters. Because there's just no way it would be true. So it's kind of where we are with Xbox at this point. All right, moving on to our next story. It's a couple stories in one with Ubisoft. So there's reporting out there from a GameFile. They got an inside scoop with Ubisoft that they had an Assassin's Creed game set in the post-Civil War Reconstruction period in the U.S., and that the premise was that you were going to play a black man in this period of time, and he was going to be in the South fighting the KKK as like the primary bad guys, basically. And this concept got canceled. Like, they canceled the game. They didn't move forward with it. But the reasoning that Ubisoft had internally was that they were worried, based on the backlash that happened with Shadow's protagonist Yasuke, they were worried of the reaction they would get within the US, and that, quote, the political climate in the US was becoming increasingly intense, end quote. So they seem to be afraid of the blowback, with the potential blowback that a game like this would get. I mean, I do struggle a little bit to see what the blowback would be about playing a black character in post Reconstruction fighting the KKK. Like, where's the problem in there politically? I don't really, I mean, obviously we have the obvious people who are going to come out and whine about it, but there aren't legitimate things to complain about with that concept to me. That actually sounds really interesting to me. Like, it sounds like an interesting period to set a game, because no one's really done it.
It does sound interesting. But unfortunately, this is the one time I would agree with them. I think that would have serious. I actually think if Wolfenstein came out today, it would be it would get serious blowback. Like 100% serious blowback. I think so.
You think so? I don't know.
I think people would be like, well, the Nazis had a family too. And it's like,
oh my God.
like, because if you play Wolfenstein, they really like monsterize. I mean, because obviously it's Nazis, but like, to like comic book levels.
Well, they're like cartoonish. It's like cartoon villain. Yeah.
So it's like, well, the German people have feelings about this too, or my ancestors were that, or whatever the case may be. Like, it would have serious ramifications. I actually agree with it. Like, I understand it's not on everybody's like timeline or algorithm and stuff like that, but like, someone posted Mafia 3, and in Mafia 3 you play as a half black man, half Italian guy.
Yeah. Yep.
And
in Louisiana, right?
In Louisiana, yeah. And there is one section where you can mow down the KKK, and the amount of vitriol that person got for showing that shit was crazy,
dude.
I don't know if they were bots. I don't know.
It has to be, bro. It has to be. It can't be real people. Like, nobody in their right mind would defend the KKK, dude. Like,
you say that.
I know. It's just, it feels like it has to be mostly bots, though. Like, they're trying to like drum up some kind of fight about it, because it's like you're so obviously in the wrong if you're like, I don't know, you're kind of against that kind of gameplay. But
I would just say this: there have been, like I said, I don't want to get political, but it is going to get that way. But I'm not.
There is a little bit of this in here. Yeah. We can't avoid it,
Yeah.
So.
I will say this: for certain official Twitter accounts have posted things that are very, very like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. Like 1488 type shit, if you know what that number is. Like, that's crazy. Some people have posted that from official like government Twitter accounts. So it's like, which is like a nod to like Aryan stuff and
I mean,
everything else.
admittedly, I will say, like, again, I don't want to get too deep into this, but I will say that
Yeah,
our,
yeah,
our,
yeah.
our government right now is at peak circus levels at the moment.
Yes. So that's
Um,
why I agree with the sentiment, because I, if this was like the Bush era type shit, and I'm like, no, this
yeah,
this is but like even 2016, I was like, okay, you guys are being like kind of crazy. Like this is, you can
yeah,
still post it.
yeah.
But now I'm like, no, dude, I am fully convinced if they post, like if they posted, if Wolfenstein 3 came out and it was the Nazis again, people would genuinely be upset by that. Which also is interesting about this though is they already did a slave game before. They did two of them. They did
Yeah.
DLC for Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which
Yeah.
was the Haitian Revolution.
Okay.
You play as a black man there, and
That's
then they
right.
did one called either, it was either Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry or Assassin's Creed Revolution, where you play as a half black, half white, half black woman in Louisiana.
Oh,
Um,
that was the Vita one.
yeah,
Liberation.
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 There you go.
Yeah, yeah,
There you
yeah.
go. And
Yeah.
I thought that one was very interesting too, because you blend in with both sides. You
Yeah.
assassinate slave masters, and then obviously the aristocrats as well. You blend in with that side, with the aristocratic side of the towns and stuff like that. So I
Yeah.
find it interesting that they don't want to revisit that, because that is an interesting, the Reconstruction period is rarely talked about.
Has there
And I think
ever
that
been a
is a
game in that period?
no,
Dude, has
no.
there even been like movies and
We-
TV in that period really? Not really. There's not a lot that I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, not the Reconstruction era for sure. Books, yes.
Yeah,
TV,
definitely. Yeah.
uh, I can't really think of too many off the top of my head.
Well, because
All the
that's like
stuff
the
that I
pre
watched,
Jim Crow era. Like that predates
yeah,
it's like the period after the war. It's about 10 years, I think, right? Or so.
yeah, yeah,
After the war. And then there's I think the election in 1876 is the one that kind of like ends Reconstruction because of, I believe it was because of who was elected.
yeah,
Um, and that was like the beginning of like Jim Crow.
yeah, exactly. So, like, I don't know, man. It's a weird climate to be in. It is one of those things where you have to be like in certain spaces to understand why they would want to do this, or why they wouldn't.
Yeah,
Um, I think it's still, kind of a pussyfoot way out.
yeah,
Um, I and to be honest with you, I don't think it's warranted, but some of it, of the backlash for Yusuke, I understand. But
yeah. I do too.
yeah, I can understand that. Um, but also, like, this will be a different instance because there were black people in the
Well,
Reconstruction era.
that's my
Uh,
point. I think the backlash to Shadows, there is an angle where it makes sense because like people have been asking for the Japan fucking Assassin's Creed game since Assassin's Creed became a thing, right?
yeah,
And they finally fucking do it, and they don't focus the game on a Japanese character. I know one of the characters is, but from what I understand, her side of the story is actually like really bad, from what I've heard.
oh, okay,
So it's like, so yeah, you don't focus it on a Japanese character, and the one you do focus it on doesn't even have a good narrative, you know. So I kind of get the backlash a little bit there, a little bit
yeah,
more. With this, there's no real room for it because it's like, yes, yeah, black people post Civil War, yeah, it makes total sense. Of course, it's absolutely viable to make that your protagonist in that situation. There's nothing to complain about, you know. I think it makes like it's actually really interesting because it is pre Jim Crow, post war. That's a short period to work with. There's interesting storylines to examine in there, you know. Because I think that era is also when the KKK like came to be, you know. So I don't know.
yeah. No, like you're right. I mean, that's when they started posting like the birth of a nation,
Yeah,
or they may have did that before actually. During the Civil War, before I can't remember when Birth of a Nation actually came out. I gotta research it, but
yeah. Because isn't Django in this period?
no,
Django Unchained, or is it later?
Django is it's before.
Oh, it's
I think it was
before.
before. Yeah, they were still
Okay.
slaves, so it's before the Reconstruction.
Gotcha.
Uh,
Okay.
the because from if I remember, that's the whole reason why down in the South, especially in Texas, Black people in Texas celebrate Juneteenth, because I
Yeah.
believe like
Yeah.
5 or 10 years after the actual war and people were free, Black people were free, Texas like, nah, y'all actually not. It- or they just didn't tell them. They didn't tell them at
Yeah.
all, like, you guys are free. And then they're like, and then on June 15th or 17th or so, June 15th, I believe, that's when they were like, okay, you guys are free. And that's when the last of the slaves were free.
Mm.
But
Okay.
Texas was like the very last to do it. They were like
Yeah.
holding on strong
Yeah.
to it or whatever. But yeah, um,
Yeah, and
yeah, it's an interesting time period. I think people are afraid to like
examine it. Well, it's one of the
examine it.
darkest periods of U.S. history.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Jim Crow. So yeah, Jim Crow started in 1877 and went all the way through I think 1950. But there's even dates going all the way to 1964. Because this is
Yeah,
when
that's
actual
when the
segregation laws
yeah,
were in
that's when the Civil
place.
Rights Act was enacted. Was in 1964. A lot of
Yeah,
people put that
yeah,
as the date when Jim Crow ended because it was actually illegal to do that. Which, unironically, now the Supreme Court is trying to get rid of the Civil Rights Act. So,
yeah,
uh, say with that what you will, but it is what it is. Uh,
yeah.
I don't know. I think that time period is still interesting. I think it's an interesting time period to examine
Examine, yeah, certainly.
and play video games in and stuff of that nature. But I think people are just scared of it because of not only the political climate we're in right now. Uh, a lot of people like to deny that it happened or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
So it is what it is.
yeah. And I would like to see more games in general from the period of like US independence through like 1900.
Hmm.
I just don't think there's a lot of games set in that time period, in general. Probably
Yeah,
because it requires some nuance to
it does. I mean, that's the
do
Gilded
well.
Age,
But
especially like the
yeah,
early 1900s, the Gilded Age. So I feel like if you did a game now with the way wealth inequality is right now, it's a huge topic in the US. People are like, "Oh, you're being political," and it's just like, "Nah, that's just the Gilded Age, bro." Like the Gilded
yeah,
Age was like
yeah,
that's when unions started and all that shit. Like uh,
yeah,
like, cause I like the movie Gangs in New York. I love that movie. I think that's a
yeah,
very interesting time period when like
yeah,
immigrants are coming over here and uh the people already here like fuck the immigrants, fuck you,
yeah,
you Polish Italians and you fucking Irish people, like what the fuck or whatever. And I just think it's a very interesting time period. Nobody wants to like really tackle that conversation if that makes any sense. I don't know.
yeah. Well, I think the thing is, there's no way to make a game in that period without like I don't know, addressing the slavery aspect and the racism
Yeah,
aspect. Like you
yeah,
can't make a game and ignore that entirely. Like
yeah,
I think
exactly.
that's probably part of the problem is it becomes heavy to deal with. Like you have to address it in some way.
I think
So
the only game that came close is Red Dead Redemption 2.
yeah, yeah,
But that takes place uh in the Wild West type situation. So the Wild West, I believe, we still didn't even in that time period, we still didn't have most of the Great Plains and California and stuff like that. So slaves, instead of trying to run north, sometimes they would just run west
yeah,
and you will be free out there. But there was like a bounty clause, like if you get caught, you can get taken back. Whereas sometimes if you went up north to certain states, they couldn't
yeah.
take you back, whatever.
Well,
So
and yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2 actually starts in 1899. So it isn't even like it's mostly in the 1900s.
okay,
Um, so which is interesting. So man, I need to play that game. Fuck. I
yeah, and I
don't know.
mean that's an interesting time period to play, like
Yeah,
1899 and shit like that. Like
yeah, yeah,
we're on the cusp. I mean, because you and they still have racism in Red Dead Redemption. They address it. I think that's why I like the Rockstar games because they like are not afraid to just tackle it and like it is what it
yeah.
is, whatever case may be. So I don't
Right.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Jumping off this story. So another part of this actually came out this week. a couple days ago is that the series lead, Mark Alexis, I don't know how to say this, Cote, is leaving Ubisoft. He is not joining the new Vantage Studios, and Ubisoft actually commented on this. They said, "quote that he has his own expectations and priorities related to Vantage Studios creation and future." End quote. So seems like there was some disagreement about how this studio was gonna be run slash move forward, what the plans were for the franchise, and he decided to leave the studio. So he's been the lead for Assassin's Creed for 20 years now. He's not the creator. He joined the series in Brotherhood as a
Okay.
developer, but very quickly ascended to lead of the entire franchise. So this is actually a big deal because, I mean, basically everything we know of Assassin's Creed has been led by this guy. So I don't know, Montreal. Do you have hope maybe that Assassin's Creed will change for the better? Because I mean that is a problem.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know, man. Uh, I don't think. I think 4 and below Assassin's Creed are still pretty good,
yeah,
but like after 4, it just tanked, dude.
yeah. It just became like the same game in a different place over and over again,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, like
Um,
like it's kind of like what you're talking about with Yote. Like they just kept making the same game in a different environment,
yeah,
and
yeah,
the innovation wasn't really there anymore.
yeah, and I don't know. The RPG aspects of the game. I mean, I know a lot of people love Origins and stuff of that nature. Um, but I don't know, man. It just got out of hand really quickly,
Yeah,
and stuff like that. So I'm not saying I'm glad he left, but it'll be interesting seeing what the direction is from here on out.
yeah, yeah. No, it'll be something to follow for sure. I mean, we're not going to see the impact of this probably until the game after the next game, whatever that is.
Yeah,
Because I mean, Shadows just came out, so presumably they have another game in the works right now that's probably been in the works for a year or two. I would wager, maybe even more. So and then there probably was another one that they're starting, you know, concepting at this point, I would imagine. So um it's probably that game, the one that's being concepted right now, that we might see the impact of this come to fruition. But I would imagine though, whoever comes in is probably not going to want to rock the boat right away. You know, um, they'll go with the proven formula, even though it's, I think most gamers would argue, it's kind of a formula that's a bit stale at this point, but it still sells copies. So we'll see. Certainly. All right, let's move on. Sony and Tencent are battling it out in the courtroom still with this lawsuit that Sony has um, submitted against Tencent for Light of Motorum, and there have more details have come out because Sony just recently, last 24 hours, I believe, submitted a counter response to Tencent's last counter response. Basically, Tencent in September had pushed. They filed a motion to dismiss the case, and Sony is basically saying, obviously don't dismiss the case. They're actually pushing to go straight into discovery, which would put them in the position of gathering evidence essentially for their case, meaning that we would start seeing internal documentation from Tencent's internal communications around this game coming out as part of discovery and stuff like that, which I'm sure Tencent does not want to happen. But basically, so set the groundwork here. Sony, the major aspects of this rebuttal are, number one, that they are saying that the infringement already happened. Tencent is arguing that the delay they actually delayed the game recently to 2027. They said Q4 2027. So this game is now like over 2 years out from coming out. They're saying that the delay means that this case is no longer quote ripe because it's not relevant anymore because the game is so far away from coming out. They haven't infringed on anything because they haven't they haven't released the product yet. However, Sony's argument is that the infringement already happened. What they've shown of the game and what they're making and what they showed Sony of the game is already infringement. That's their argument basically. The next piece they said is that quote Tencent attempted to avoid liability by playing a shell game, end quote. So the basic premise of this part is that Tencent is trying to say that the game is not necessarily affiliated with them because it's being made by a company that is a subsidiary, which is weird. Sony's basically saying they don't approach their subsidiaries as independent entities. Everything's Tencent under them, and that's true. When they make a game, it's Tencent. They don't say who the developer is, generally speaking. So that's the second piece, and then the third piece is quote a knockoff game so blatant that the public loudly decried, end quote. Which this is just them bringing up everything that happened when the game was revealed. Everybody's saying that the game is a blatant ripoff, a knockoff, obvious knockoff, copycat, all that stuff, etc. So that's kind of the main point of their argument. Well, Sean, what do you make of this? I mean, obviously, we're in the tit for tat section of this lawsuit. There's not a lot necessarily super interesting coming out here, but what do you make of these latest statements by Sony?
I still think they have a case. I think Tencent is trying to get away from it because they're like, oh, we fucked up. We didn't. Maybe they thought they wouldn't go all the way with it, but I think Sony's gonna go all the way with it, and
yeah,
I think they should. I mean, this is a blatant ripoff. I mean,
yeah,
you can try to dance around it all you want to. Well, actually, it's an anime style, and the combat's not the same. Whoa, but it literally looks like the same shit. Yeah, that's how I feel. I'm sorry. It's just Sony needs to get. They need to. Now, in one part of me is, I feel like this would have been cool to add to this boring ass franchise. You already know I don't like Horizons. So
yeah.
I'm like,
I mean, I think like I'm kind of lukewarm on it. It's funny. It's such a weird series because like when I'm playing it, I'm having fun. But when I like sit down and reflect on having played it, I'm like, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's like it's not like blowing my hair back, I guess.
Yeah, it's the yotai. That's exactly how I feel.
Yeah, and I think Sony was foolish for rebuffing Tencent. I think a game set in China would actually be really interesting because of what happened in Horizon 2. We learned about Asia a little bit, like what's going on over there, and it would have been really interesting to see that in lore. But I think that might have been the problem is Tencent was already making the game, so they made it not lore accurate. And would have had to change a whole bunch of shit probably.
Yeah.
And that might have been the reason Sony was like, no, we're not doing this. But I still believe that's the key part of the case is that the game was shown to Sony from Tencent and they literally pitched it as a Horizon game. And then when Sony said no, they continued making it anyways, and they just changed the name. It's like, that is obviously, and then the behavior after the lawsuit was filed where they've replaced all the screenshots. They're delaying the game. Clearly, they're redoing a whole bunch of this shit to make the game not look like Horizon anymore. Like I assume when we see this game again, it's going to look significantly different. Honestly,
yeah.
And I think that behavior is kind of almost admitting guilt, like in a lot of ways. Right? Like if you really believe you weren't infringing, why would you do all that? So. I don't know. I think that's the most notable part of this. So, I mean, there's not a whole much more to say at this point, but it is funny. Sony seems really pissed about this. Like, really, really, really pissed about this. To go after Tencent. Because, I mean, Tencent's like a major partner at this point, Like, they're a huge publisher of games, nowadays. Like, they own so much stuff. And I do have to give Sony some credit here for like being so aggressive against a partner like that, because I mean they could hurt Sony in not in a lot of ways, if they really wanted to. So there are some balls here to continue to pursue this so aggressively. But yeah. We'll continue to follow it. We'll see. I kind of hope this goes to Discovery. I would love to see the internal emails talking about this game and how many times they mention Horizon. Because that would be the ultimate, like, oopsie, yeah, we were totally trying to make a Horizon game, So we'll see what comes of it. All right, moving on to our final story of the week. Matt Piscatella over at Sakana. He put some stuff on Blue Sky last week that caught my attention. I thought was interesting. Some statistics. So he showed he released some data on the purchasing frequency among players in the US, and this was a poll, so this is polling data. So obviously, take that as you will, grain of salt. Polling can be accurate, can be inaccurate, so there's a whole science to it, but just keep that in mind. So according to the data, 18% of players in the US buy a new game about once every 6 months, while 12% buy one about once a year. 33% of players buy a new game less often than once per year, meaning that a combined 63% of players buy 2 or fewer games every year. And then for the rest, 22% of players buy a new game around once every 3 months, 10% buy once every month, and then just 4% said they buy more than one game a month. So basically 14%, Matt kind of surmised that the 14% that buy once a month or more than once a month are the main players responsible for premium games and the continued existence of them. Essentially, that group of people are holding that part of the industry up. Is free to play is likely accounting for the remaining 86% that those players are playing a lot of those games, which is why they don't buy very much, or they're buying Madden or fucking EAFC or fucking NBA 2K or something, and that's like their one buy for the year. So, Watcher, what do you think of this data? What does it tell you? Are you worried about video games?
Yeah, I would say we are fucked.
Yeah, man, I know.
I wouldn't be surprised if gaming is not really a thing in the next 10 years, bro. Honestly.
Not the way we think of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, doesn't this explain why Sony's doing what it's doing, right? With the live service games, as much as it's failed. It kind of explains the strategy though, doesn't it? Like they don't see a future of growth in $70 boxed games. Play it once and you're done with it kind of games. I think this data kind of proves that out, realistically.
It does, but
isn't it just sad? It's just sad
if you're just looking at numbers, yes, it does make it makes sense.
Yeah.
But we have to understand we bred these players. They bred these players.
Yes, that is a key component. I totally agree. Yes.
And yeah, $70 for a box game is crazy. But
it's really not though. When you compare
it's not compared to like inflation and stuff like that. It should be a lot higher.
Right.
But if I buy I'm gonna use Madden as an example, or 2K. If I buy Madden or 2K for $70, or if I even buy the 149 edition of those set games, right? As soon as I log in, I'm getting flooded with MUT. I'm getting flooded with 2K, VC stuff and everything like that. You want me to, even like Call of Duty, I'm getting flooded with new skins, this, that, and the third, instead of just playing the game and unlocking it. Battlefield is very unique where I just open the game up and there's like, campaign, multiplayer. They're not flooding like microtransactions down my throat or whatever the case may be. And I think that's why a lot of people just go to free to play games, because if I'm going to pay anything, I can play Genshin Impact for 20 billion hours, and I can only, like, if I don't care about optimization and all that other shit like that, right? I could spend like $50 or $60 a year on drops and rolls and stuff like that, and get the characters I want, and then just play with those characters like a modest person or whatever the case may be. Not like a whale or anything. Same thing with like League of Legends or whatever. I can jump in, play with my friends. I don't really have to buy skins. I buy skins for the characters I like, and I jump out. Whatever the case, Warzone, Apex, all those games and stuff like that. I get a quality experience for free. Yes, they inundate me with microtransactions, but I'm only paying $10 for a skin. I get a full quality experience for free. Or for $10 if you want to say that or whatever, right? And I'm using quality very loosely. Whereas if I buy, let's just say, even though this game's not out anymore, Shadow of War, right? I get Shadow of War for, let's say it came out today, but let's say back in the day it was still $60, I believe, right, when that game came out. So $60, and then on top of that, you're trying to sell me boosters for XP boosters and everything like that to play the game, and now I have to play online
too, originally,
and loot boxes, stuff like that. Overwatch, a lot of people forget the original Overwatch was a box game that cost $60. On top of that, I gotta pay. I think the characters are free, but I had the game was like the one that that game was like the one that popularized the loot box mentality, in my opinion. It didn't start it, but it popularized it. And skins and loot boxes and stuff of that nature. So like, we bred these gamers to be like this, and it happened very quickly. If you think about it, it was very quick how everything just flipped on its head, and that's because they just kept packing so much or so little into a $60 or a $70 experience. Not even like buying stuff. When I buy the $70 game boxed, I still have to put the disc in, download the game, and play it. So why am I even buying the game boxed? I think that plays a huge factor in this, because now I have to go into the market, the PlayStation market, and you got to think how the market is set up. I'm just talking about PlayStation exclusively. Think about how the PlayStation market is set up. When you log into it, Justin, even if your algorithm is adjusted to you, you still see free to play stuff first. I don't even play free to play games, and I still see Genshin Impact. I still see Wuthering Waves. I still see Warzone. I still see Madden at the beginning of my storefront, and I'm like, why am I seeing these games? I don't play these games. I still see Fortnite and stuff like that. I don't play these games often, and you're competing with that, right? So I have to, if your game's not on like the storefront, like at the front splash screen of like, oh, the new Assassin's Creed, the new $70 Assassin's Creed out, or the new $70 Sony games out. I mean, Sony's going to push that, obviously, but like, this new $70 third party games out, or whatever the case may be, you're not going to see that, because you have to search for it. You have to hear about through word of mouth, through Twitter clips and stuff of that nature, and or YouTube clips and everything of that nature, to even know what this game is about. Which makes it a miracle that games like Expedition 33 even sold really well, right? Because that is a quintessential box. It's a $40 game, but it's still a box game with no microtransactions or any of that shit, and with limited microtransactions, I should say. And you get a full experience without that, with any of that stuff. And that wasn't on the storefront at all until it got really popular, and then they started putting it on the storefront. I would say Helldivers is the same situation, but that game is a microtransaction game as well. So it's like, we bred these gamers, and then we're like, why aren't people buying video games? And it's like, because we bred them that way. We even turned older gamers into these type of gamers, like, so we can't get Jet to play fucking Mass Effect to save our fucking life. You know what I'm saying? So,
it's so fucking annoying. No, it's gotten to the point with him that, like, just to digress real quick, like, it's gotten to the point with that where I don't think he's gonna like the game when he plays it.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
gonna play it and he's gonna be like, "What do you like? This is fine, I guess, guys. Like, whatever, And it's just gonna be like, bro, like, I'm gonna want to fucking shoot myself in the head, you know. But
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, man. I think that's the major plot point. Like these statistics are right, but we have to look at why
how
the
we got
frequency,
here,
how we got here. You know.
yeah. Well,
Um,
to your point, I think your point is very salient about we bred these gamers, and I think that is us as individuals, and also the companies, right?
yes. When I
So
say us, I mean all of us as a collective. I don't mean
right,
just
the
the
whole
companies. Yeah,
industry is
the whole
responsible for this
industry. Yeah.
because the companies put this shit in front of us, right? And what they decide to put in front of us has a much higher likelihood of selling than the things that they don't decide to promote. So to your point about the store, right, the PlayStation store, so that's one aspect of this. And if every game has these microtransactions, eventually they beat us, right? Like back in the day, I mean, dude, you remember the horse armor from Oblivion when that game came out, 20 years ago? Isn't that so quaint
Yeah.
now? Wasn't it like
Yeah,
a
I know.
dollar? Wasn't it
It
like
was
a
like
dollar or
it was
something?
290. It was 299.
It was 2.99. Okay, isn't that so quaint now, dude? Like to think about. Remember how big of a deal that was? People were fucking pissed, man, and they wouldn't shut up about it. And it didn't work. We still ended up losing 20 years later. Like they just kept doing it and doing it. And clearly there were people buying these things, and that's where it becomes our responsibility as a like consumer collective. Like, people started buying this stuff and showed these companies that there is a market for this shit at what we would consider an unreasonable price. People are willing to spend that money, and over time it got higher and higher and higher and higher to the point that I think Fortnite really like blew the fucking doors open really with this, where like, dude, they sell $20 skin packs and $30 skin packs, and people are buying it in droves. People are eating it up, and now it's just normalized. It's just a normalized thing. Every game does it. Every game tries to do it. It's gotten to the point, dude, it's gotten to the point that even gacha games are deciding to not be gacha games because they think they can make more money selling skins than characters. That's where we're getting to. Like there's two major gachas that are doing away with their character gacha that I've heard of recently. And they haven't launched yet. Like they're coming out soon. And like that's the point we're at with skins, dude. Like skins are huge. Like that's the way you make money in games, I guess now. And I would prefer that to gameplay focused, microtransactions and gameplay, like characters and shit, selling characters or gameplay power and stuff like that. I would prefer skins to that, certainly. But there's a deleterious effect to even skins, where they are going to make your character look worse at a base level so that you'll go buy a skin, like that. I'm sure companies do that, they hold back on the design a little bit because they want to sell skins, I think that's like certainly a realistic thing. And we're all culpable in it. And I think a lot of this does stem from the sports games. Like I put a lot of the blame there on the sports game community. Man, they just ate up that mutt, dude. Madden Ultimate Team. They ate it up
Mhm.
right when it came out. Like they were in it right away, and it never stopped. And we're still dealing with it now because it makes EA more money than selling the game does. Like every year, which is it's depressing. It's sad. And it is what it is. I do wonder when we're old. I'm not worried about this like within our lifetimes, right? There's so many video games that have come out. Like we'll have shit to play our entire life, even if nothing came out ever again, like going forward, which is obviously not going to happen. So, there's no concern really. But I do wonder in 20 or 30 years, dude, like when we're older and approaching like retirement age, like what's gaming going to look like, man? I don't know. Like, will there even be single player games anymore? I'm sure there will be to some degree. I just think it will be severely diminished from what it is today.
I think everything would be on
Um,
our cell phones. I think cell phones are going to be the new gaming device.
yeah,
The way,
there will be some ubiquitous device probably.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a PlayStation 7 or 8 or anything like that. I think there's going to be a PlayStation
I
partnered
think there'll be a
iPhone.
7. I think 8's where I'm. I think
I
that's
don't
where I
even think
start to
that.
question.
I don't think that, dude. I think it's gonna be a PlayStation.
I
PlayStation
mean,
is they're going to they're going.
you think in 10 years there won't be a PlayStation anymore? Because I mean that's pretty
No,
much
no, no,
the
no.
time frame.
I think in 10 years, the PlayStation 6 would be the last console.
I don't think it's
That's where
gonna
I'm
happen
going.
that fast.
I think so, bro. I think the next generation, like 10 years from now, I think they're going to be part. I mean, we may still have Nintendo, but I think there are going to
Yeah.
be partnerships. Like they're going to be PlayStation centric, PlayStation X, iPhone type phones, or PlayStation or
Well,
Xbox X
it,
Hawaii, or I
yeah,
can't pronounce their names or whatever, phones or whatever the case may be. And I think
yeah,
those phones are going to be like more gaming centric phones, if that makes any sense.
yeah. I think my barrier here is I don't think gamers like us are gonna want to play on those devices, right? Like, I think that's always going to be a barrier for us, which means there's going to be a market for the big box, on your TV. I think the thing I would believe this more if TVs were better, you know? Like if they were like more functional from an OS level and stuff like that and a hardware level beyond playing video, like the actual like navigating their interface and stuff, I would
Mhm.
believe you more that like TVs would start to integrate being able to play games like at a native level. If that ever happens, that's where I can see consoles going away for sure. But I just like TVs aren't really there right now. Like they all suck. Like they're all so bad. Their interfaces are terrible.
Yeah,
They
no,
run like
I,
shit. So
yeah, I agree. I can see them partnering up with like TV companies and making like a Xbox centric
PlayStation
TV or
TV. Yeah. Don
PlayStation
Matrix
X.
fucking wet dream, bro.
Yeah, so I
Xbox
can see that.
TV.
I can see like streaming technology becoming way better and stuff of that nature.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're going to be in our 40s and 50s around that time,
Yeah.
and I don't think we're going to be the central market, and that's why I don't think there are going to be boxed stuff for us. I think the
Yeah.
only thing we can play is the stuff that we have now, or like maybe 5 years in the future. I think that is going to be the last of the consoles or whatever. In
Yeah.
my opinion, I think I can easily see that, especially the way uh things are going around the world, not just in America, but around the world as far as like materials and stuff of that nature. I can
Hmm.
easily see that being phased out and everything of that
Yeah.
nature. Um, and things start to shift more towards uh or I could be wrong. I could be wrong. People, the console thing could blow the fuck up again. I mean, that has some retro stuff has come back. I mean, people are wearing oversized pants again. I mean, like we were in the 2000s. So
Yeah. Well, I think the thing I will say is if you like older games, buy them now because they're never going to get cheaper, you know? Like like old games from like NES, Super NES, N64 and shit. You want games on those consoles, like get them now, man, because um you're 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 not gonna they're gonna continue to go up in price over time the further away we get from that. And if this is true that consoles do eventually go away in some regard, I mean that means those libraries we have, they may follow us to whatever form PlayStation takes, but there's no guarantee, with that stuff. So I don't know. I think the thing I want to secure for myself is that I have the ability to play all the games that I love and that, you know, a lot of games that I haven't played, I want to be able to play those too. So I don't know.
yeah,
I mean, PC's always going to be there. So it's not like it's a huge mega concern necessarily long term, but um I think compatibility of games is going to be an issue though long term if consoles were to go away too. So
yeah,
it's depressing. It's just how do we
yeah.
get
I'm
here,
sorry.
man? How did we get
I
here,
mean,
Montreal?
we already know how we got here, man.
I know. It's just like, dude, we didn't know how good we had it back in the day, you know? Um I don't think I ever thought like gaming I never took gaming for granted when I was a kid, when I was younger. But like the degree to which you didn't know how good you actually had it, though, is kind of crazy with games.
Well,
Because
I mean,
man,
I don't think we could have accounted for, because when we thought of like, I even think this about this with like technology and stuff of that nature. I don't think we thought it would get this bad, like technology, because like
yeah,
I don't want to be that guy, but like technology is being used for evil. But like when we thought of technology, we like when technology was coming out when we were kids, it was being genuinely used for like good or whatever.
yeah.
It was genuinely used to improve lives and stuff like that,
Well, and it
or
was
like
fun to interact with people on the internet. You
yeah,
remember those old school forums and stuff? Like it was a
yeah. Yeah,
different time,
exactly.
dude.
It was a different time. I mean,
Yeah,
like, 'cause I don't know, like, cause I was into like cars and stuff like that, like, and I like to customize my cars. And I don't know if you remember, but like, you remember like those custom radios that you can pop out your car and then pop them
yeah,
back in. It
yeah,
used to have like little visualizers on the radio, like it would be like a dolphin swimming or something like that.
yeah, yeah,
Stuff like,
yeah,
and I thought that shit was cool. And I'm like, that's like a lost art, lost technology art. Like
yeah,
somebody posted like the PlayStation 3 music visualizer, and it's like you can listen to the music and then the visualizer will react to the music. And it's just like that shit used to make, I don't know about you, but that shit used to make me like think of shit, like be more creative and stuff like that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
like I just
yeah,
don't feel like technology nowadays, everything's designed for optimization or
yeah. Efficiency.
efficiency. There you go. Everything's designed for
Yeah,
efficiency and not designed for like inspiration or whatever the case may be. And
yeah,
back then, technology when it was introduced, I always just remember the Dreamcast and early PS2 era. Remember how many games showed their character on the beach because everybody wanted to show off their water technology. They was like, look at that fucking water,
yeah,
dog.
yeah, 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 yeah,
And it's like, we got a lot of great video games out that technology and stuff of that nature. And now we don't even think about that type of stuff. Actually, a lot of us are turned off. Like the more realistic the game looks, we're like, ugh,
yeah,
like I
yeah,
don't even want to touch this game anymore,
yeah,
or whatever the case may be. So I, I don't know how. I mean, I don't know how we got here from like a design and like artistic losing our artistic form, because even like Genshin Impact and Wuthering Waves and Overwatch, all of those have very unique styles and
yeah,
flair to them.
yeah,
But it's funny because now I feel like that style and that flair that the Hoyoverse bought is now being profiteered and industrialized. Now
yeah.
everybody's doing that.
Definitely. I mean,
Very
HoYoverse is doing it to themselves.
exactly.
Every game they make is just a different version of Genshin Impact, like in a different setting,
And the
basically.
animations are so cool and crisp and everything, but you can't help but
Yeah,
wonder, like,
yeah.
uh, this is disgusting.
No,
Like it
what a
looks really
waste
good.
of creativity. We talked about this before.
Exactly.
Dude, if HoYoverse made a single player game, how good could it be? It would be, they could make an incredible fucking video game if they wanted to, but they don't because they are trying to make maximum money. So that's where all their
Exactly.
creativity goes, and it sucks. It's sad because like HoYoverse is an extremely good company from a development
Exactly.
standpoint. Like they're a really high quality developer, but when you look at it from a realistic standpoint, though, they're just trying to make as much money as possible. So we're not going to get that like prestige game from them probably ever. That's why I was so impressed with Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. That's why I was so happy with that game, because that was a gotcha company deciding to make a prestige game. You know,
Yeah.
and it probably didn't make a lot of money for them relative to the gotchas they make, but I like that they decided to do that because I mean, dude, like that game was really high quality. Yeah, it didn't have a ton of content, or whatever, and it wasn't super long, but like to play it, like it was really well made. You know,
Yeah. No, for sure it
um,
was. Definitely.
and yeah, I think HoYoverse is in the same realm. Like they could certainly make a game just as good or better, probably, if they wanted to. So I don't know. It's an interesting situation. It's just like I just think about when we were younger, man, like could you even think of the idea of buying additional content for a game when we were younger? Like we probably would have been excited by that, you know?
Yeah, from
Um
your comfort of your own home, like that would have been
yeah,
fucking cool. But
yeah.
then,
But it becomes
like,
corporate at a certain
yeah,
point,
exactly. There you
and
go.
it's
It
like
becomes super corporate. Yeah,
they're trying to make it with as little cost as possible, so it ends up like the quality's not as high as the main game. there isn't as much content, you're not getting bang for your buck. Like that kind of shit happens all the time. It's like, I don't know, man. I firmly believe that I think the internet and smartphones are like a net negative for human society as it stands in
Yeah,
this
I think
current
we should
year.
go back
Like,
to. I think we should. If I can go back and stop the release of like maybe even the BlackBerry, uh,
yeah,
I would. I mean,
yeah,
people would say the downfall started with like Apple phones. I think it started with like BlackBerry, in my
yeah,
opinion. But um, if there was some way for us to like revert, because you see, like, what's funny about it, Justin, is you see on the phone that people are like, people yearn for this
yeah.
like interaction, human interaction, because we're supposed to be social creatures. So we
Right.
yearn for that, and you hear it all the time. It's just that
But we
the way we
aren't interacting. That's the thing. Like, we
is it,
aren't interacting despite the fact that it's easier to interact than it ever has been. But it's because it's easier. Like, we can do it whenever we want, so we don't do it. Like, you like take it for granted, basically. You know.
yeah,
And it's become like trying to get people in my friend circles, like, because like I have you guys, like the video game group, board games, and then I have a Magic the Gathering group, and trying to get these groups together to actually like meet in person and do something is like, it's become hard. Like, it's difficult. We don't do it that often, you know and it's like, it's fucking frustrating, man. It's like, man, it's like, I don't know,
yeah. I mean,
it's
it's just a
just
combination of a whole bunch of things. Like everything's expensive, so we have to work more. Then we're working
right,
more. We're too tired.
right.
Uh, and then when someone does
Well, and
invest,
you
it's
want
like
to spend a certain amount of time with your, significant other or kids,
exactly,
or,
exactly.
obviously,
So
and it's like, yeah,
whereas
you have less
before,
time for
like
that
we,
type of stuff.
whereas before, if like the housing market wasn't so bad, we probably all of us probably would stay in a similar neighborhood and we can just like walk over each other's houses or some shit like that. Like
Yeah, yeah.
it would have been something of that nature where we can our kids would be playing more with each other and everything of that nature. And I mean we just don't have that anymore, like that sense of community is gone. And it's not just like in person, the sense of community is gone from like online games and stuff of that nature. It used to be a very uh close knit community for a lot of particular games and stuff like that. But like now, I mean, I'm a prime example of this. I don't want to interact with like Sonic fans. I don't want to interact with like
Yeah,
Xenoblade fans and stuff like
yeah.
that. Um, because they're fucking delusional. Well, I mean, a lot of them
Well, it's like,
are.
yeah, it's like they're talking so much about this stuff that it's like degenerate.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and it's not, like you said, they're delusional. Like, they don't have realistic opinions, or
yeah,
practical opinions. Like, their opinions are so laced with bias that it's like you can't take them seriously. You know.
yeah. And
Um.
when you try to like interact with these communities or whatever, um, I just remember it was this one Facebook group. I put I was in. I was this a long time ago, and it was called the Michigan Gamers Facebook group or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people in that group from Michigan,
Yeah.
and I posted. Somebody was like, post like your like I love this game. He posted the game or whatever, and then it became a thread like post like one of your favorite games, and I posted uh Mega Man 8 for the PS1. And in my mind, bro, I thought Mega Man 8 was like the best game ever. I love Mega Man 8. I
Yeah.
didn't know how many people hated Mega Man 8 until I posted that shit. And people were like, oh, this was a trash Mega Man game. What are you talking about? I can't
Yeah.
believe you love this game. I'm like, yeah, I loved it. It was like a really cool game. I used to like rent it all the time from the video store. Then I actually bought it for like $20 with my own money, and I played it, and I loved the fuck out of Mega Man 8 for the PS1. And like that was like the only original Mega Man game I played besides Mega Man 1 and 2 on my Game Boy. And then I went to X or whatever. But like I was like, yeah, I love Mega Man. Like that shit got destroyed. Like people were having full blown conversations. Some people were defending me. Like, if he likes the game, bro, just let him like the game. And like people were like, no, the game's fucking ass. I don't even know why he posted that shit here. I'm like, yikes. Okay, well, I'm not gonna
No,
post
yeah,
anything
dude,
else in
that's
here.
that's become the nature of fandom, dude. At nowadays, is like, you're being. I don't, dude. I have trouble with, like, when I go to like Reddit's for certain things. I can only last so long before I have to just like get out of it and never go back. Because that's the level of communication we have. Like, we have too much ability to interact. So these people end up interacting all the time on these places, Reddits or forums or whatever, or Twitter. And it's like, it gets to the point that they're so into the thing that they're into that, like, you come in, right? And you're like, I like this thing, but you don't like it the way that they like it, right? So you're wrong. Like, you're wrong. Like, we're attacking people who are fans of things we like because they don't like it the exact way that we like it. We don't like the exact entries of the franchise that you like, so I'm a problem. It's like, that's so ridiculous, Like, I know we joke about Xenoblade 2. And there is a degree to which I do feel like people like the wrong game, but I'm like, I don't want them out of the fan base, I don't hate them. I don't have like a fucking problem with them,
It's
like,
just funny how you said that.
What do you mean?
Said it so unironically too. It was so funny. Like, people like the wrong game. Like,
I mean, it's true, bro. I believe that, but they can be wrong, Montrell. It's fine. They can be wrong about Xenoblade. Like, we don't like Andy less because of his opinion.
Exactly. I love Andy.
I love Andy. So I think it's just, that's kind of my point. Ultimately, is I think you need to like, people are. I don't even think lazy is the right word. It's like, they take the path of least resistance generally. Most people do. So you have to like force them to do things differently. And the only way to do that would be to take the phone away and take the internet away, in my opinion. And obviously it's not going to happen. There's too much money wrapped up in these things. Obviously, we would need like a fucking EMP to explode over the entire planet for that to actually happen. But I don't know. I don't think humans were ready for this level of interconnectivity.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I don't think our brains can process this much data. Like, because I was thinking about that too when I woke up like this morning, and like I immediately saw like all this news about what's going on across the world, and in America and stuff like that. And I'm just like, we were not. I can't do this. Like, we were not designed to handle all this. But it's like, also, if I don't stay connected, I need to be connected on what's going on. But it's just like, that's how they got past a lot of stuff on this. But it's also like, this is too much as well, So it's one of those things where it's like, damn if you do, damn if you don't.
I agree. All right. Well, that's all we had for news, Montreal. But we do have some guess the meta scores this week. We're gonna do the next couple months. We have a few games we wanted to do. So, Ninja Gaiden 4 was one you brought up. I'll guess this first. I don't have a beat on this game at all, so this is just like a pure guess. I'm gonna go 7.4.
Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit higher. I'm gonna go 8.2.
8.2. Okay, feeling confident, huh?
I think that's in the low end. I think actually you might be right, 7.4, but
yeah,
I don't think it's gonna get a 9.
We'll see. Outer Worlds 2. Dude, I think this is the hardest game of the 3. Honestly.
Yep.
I think this could go anywhere from high to low. It is Obsidian, but I don't particularly think the first Outer Worlds is that like beloved. Personally. So I'm gonna go like 7.8, I think.
I'm gonna go lower. I'm gonna give it a straight 7.
7. Okay. Fair enough. I think that also makes sense. Metroid Prime 4. You can guess first on this one.
This one, I am going to get... It's Prime, because, I mean, I don't think the other 2 Primes did really well.
Yeah.
I'm going to play it safe and go 8.
Nintendo 8. Bump, though.
True.
Well, this is a problem. I don't think Metroid Prime 4 looks very good. Personally. I I think it looks like a game that could have come out 20 years ago. Legitimately. But I think people are starved for Metroid, particularly this version of Metroid, the first person. We haven't really gotten one of these in almost 20 years now. So I think there's that element. I think the part that I can't get over is that the game still has lock on, like,
That's true.
what are we doing, bro? Like, I got that. I understood that on the GameCube, but like 2 decades later in the modern times, like, how is this? Why are you doing that? Like, you're basically making a first person Zelda game. It's like what you're doing. It's like, just make it a real shooter where you actually have to like aim, and fucking hit things. Like, I don't understand why there's lock on in this game, but so what number did you say? Sorry.
I said straight 8.
8. Okay. Straight 8. I'm going to take the high. I'm going to go 8.5. Even though I don't personally believe it, I think people are going to disagree with me anyways. So, yeah, I'll take the high on this one, I guess. I don't know. I mean, do you disagree with me, like, on it?
No, I don't disagree. I think it's weird. I think I saw the gameplay. I wasn't necessarily hyped about it being like open world, like super open world. It looks like I'm just like, I don't really care about that.
Yeah, the whole
I
bike
guess
thing.
Yeah, I guess it made sense. Like, that's where it would go. I just don't like it. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I'm like, yeah, that really turned me off. And like, you're right. Like, the combat looks dated. Like, it just feel like they didn't update anything. They just made
Yeah.
Metroid Prime Remastered 2.
Exactly. That's exactly. I think they're just making the same game. That's kind of what it looks like. And like how much they were pushing the bike thing is like a huge red flag to me, because it's like, it's a vehicle. Ooh. Like, I get to drive around on a motorcycle. Oh, like, so innovative. It's like, the things that like the things that Nintendo like tries to push sometimes like make me laugh. I'm like, bro, you guys are like stuck in like the early 2000s or something, with some of their design ideas. It's like, I don't understand. Like, because like, you'll have a game like that, but then you have a game like Donkey Kong Bonanza, which feels like something really fresh for Nintendo, based on what I've seen of it. And it's like, it's weird that like there's like this disparate stuff. I mean, obviously this game's being made by Retro, which isn't like Nintendo proper, obviously, but they tend to have a pretty good hook on their studios, though, so
Mhm.
I don't know. I would think they would take a little bit more care with this, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I mean, the game's not out yet. I'm judging it off pre-release trailers and stuff, so who knows? Maybe they just did a bad job marketing it.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I'm trying to think, how would you market Metroid Prime today? I think they did a good job. I don't know.
Well, I think if the combat was better, you would market that really heavily. Actually, like, oh man, we made real combat, guys. It's not just like a glorified Zelda game. You know, I don't know, because I think that's the issue Metroid has. Is the 3D games in particular. I mean, this is why this franchise is not a huge seller. I think I think the appeal of it is a subset of Zelda fans who like sci-fi. You know, I think that's kind of the ultimate appeal of it. I think the 2D games are a little different in that regard, but I don't know. It just feels like they're kind of stuck in it, because like, you played Dread, right?
Yeah,
And
I beat Dread.
You played Samus Returns as well, the remake of what was that, the first game? I believe.
Second game.
Second
Second
game.
game.
And didn't both of those games like really change up the formula?
Yes, but they still kept the core. What it was,
Yeah.
which was like the side-scrolling Metroidvania
Right.
style, but they did change. Like Dread was a completely new game,
Yeah.
but Samus Returns was like a remake, a complete remake. But they
Mm-hmm.
still kept what it was. Um,
Yeah.
but the gameplay, even from Dread to like if you compare, because the same studio, Mercury Moon
Made
Studios, I think they're
both.
naming it, made both,
Yeah.
and you can compare Samus Returns to Samus or to Metroid Dread, you can definitely see where they improved the gameplay and everything of that nature. Whereas, like, I love Prime, but like Prime 2, they had like I think Prime 2 was okay.
Yeah.
But Prime 3 is where they had the weird Wii controls. Or was it Prime 2 that had Wii controls? I can't
No,
remember.
it was 3. It was 3.
It's 3, yeah. And I didn't like that at all. Um I and I understand why they didn't do it. I personally would have liked the more of a other M direction, but like with better direction, obviously,
Yeah.
in the story and everything. But I would have actually
Yeah.
liked a legitimate third person or a action game version of Metroid, uh, instead of like a first person Prime. Because I feel like we, while Prime was really good, I feel like everybody just remember Prime 1. Nobody remembers Prime 2 and 3 though. Like that's
You're
why
right.
the
I never
series
played them.
exactly. Those is why the
Yeah.
series went on ice though. And
Yeah.
everybody's just thinking like, "Oh my god, Prime 4 is just going to be like the GameCube game. Oh my god, we'll reopen up." And it's like you have to understand why Prime was a product of his time.
Yeah.
And yes, you still get that feeling when you play it, but when I was saying earlier about like certain games being nostalgia, that is nostalgia. Um
Yeah. Like
um
Prime now, if they just make Prime 1 again and release it now in a different planet, that's not going to be a good game. Like I don't think like Prime in a lot of ways, as much as I love it, like I don't necessarily think it holds up per se, you know? Um it's not that it's
well,
bad or anything like that.
yeah,
I
it's
just like
it's
the
not.
game is dated. It's got dated
Yeah,
design tenants, you know?
it does. I think that the best thing about Prime is the atmosphere.
Yes. And that's still
You
there.
Yeah, and you have to recreate that atmosphere. You have to.
Right.
I think that's the thing, the exploration, the mysteriousness of the planet you're on, and everything of that nature. You're not really fighting too many things. You're just like
Right.
scanning and learning, and
Later in the
then
game,
you do start fight. Yeah,
you start
you start
fighting
fighting
pirates
the
a lot,
pirates.
actually.
Yeah,
And there's definitely story there in the logs, if you want to read it.
yeah,
But it's not that in depth, right? Like it's very rudimentary, I'd say.
yeah,
And it is cool. It is interesting. It does lend itself to a greater narrative going on in the universe that is got some interesting stuff. It just sounds like with 2 and 3, they followed that thread and they didn't do a good job with it, is what it sounds like. So I don't know. Because yeah, Metroid I think always had potential from a narrative standpoint. Um, but they've always fumbled it whenever they've tried it, you know. So I think that's why Prime 1 works so well, because it doesn't really have a strong narrative. It's just like you said, it's kind of a sandbox. It's not a sandbox, but it's an environment that's very
Oh,
immersive.
it does
In
very good environmental storytelling.
Yes,
You
absolutely.
learn the story
It's
through
one
the
of the first
environment.
games that really does it well, you know.
Yeah,
And I think that's why people were so excited about it. Plus, it was a true Metroid game in the sense of the puzzle solving. Like
yep.
there are real puzzles in that game, and they're not like super hard, but they're not. Some of them aren't. Some of them are a little complex, you know. So it's it kind of showed Nintendo's like Nintendo's always been a good puzzle developer, right? That's something that's always been a strong through line with them in their entire history. Um, and I think that's the key thing with Metroid. Like if Metroid Prime 4, like it kind of needs to have that. I think that the combat thing is something I've complained about with a lot of their stuff though. I complained about this with Zelda, the latest Zelda games, and then this game as well, is like I just feel like they're stuck in the past with their combat design. I don't know why they can't make their combat be really fun, but also still have the elements that make those games unique, like the puzzle solving and the stuff like that. So that's where I get a little frustrated with Nintendo in recent years, because I think Breath of the Wild, if it had like better combat, I think the game would be a lot more fun, you know. But it's just like the combat is not good. It's not good combat in those games, you know. So it was
Yeah,
fun on the N64. It's not fun in
and
2025, you know.
that's the other thing I actually forgot to mention about Yote. It does have a Zelda aspect to it, like an old school Zelda aspect to it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because you actually learn songs and they actually do stuff in the game.
Yeah.
So you can
Okay.
learn like different songs and stuff like that. And they do have
Yeah.
puzzles, and some of the puzzles are pretty challenging. Or not pretty challenging, but you just have to know where to look for like the clues for the puzzles in the game.
Yeah.
So it does have that Breath of the Wild / Ocarina of Time. Like there isn't any dungeons, but it does have that like Zelda aspect to it. Compared to like Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
Yotai does feel like more of a Zelda game than Ghost of Tsushima does, and that's probably why people like it more.
Yeah.
In my opinion, but yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to go off that.
No, you're good.
There, but
I mean,
yeah,
I was pretty much done. I mean, that's my point. Those are my thoughts, I guess. Um, I was thinking, because I don't know how available the Switch 2 is right now. I haven't really been following it, but I am thinking this holiday season I might pick one up. Because I do want to play Bonanza, the Donkey Kong game, and with the advent of GameCube games being on the Switch Online, I think I actually want to like pick that up and start playing through some old stuff. So I don't know. I may be jumping back in the Nintendo well sometime soon, but
yeah, they need to add more. I'm still waiting for them to add Path of Radiance to the
they still haven't done
GameCube.
that. God,
No,
dude.
they still haven't,
Bro,
dude.
what are we 4 months in? 4.5 months in? Like that was a fucking like pre-launch tease, of the
Yep.
service. Like, what are they doing? I don't know. It's fucking like what's on there from GameCube? Like, is there a
Uh,
lot, or is it still just like
it's
one or two
not.
games?
It's like 4 games. They added Wind Waker, I think.
Okay,
They got Soul
which is
Calibur.
annoying because they have a
So
remake of that game that they never
yeah,
ported to Switch.
yeah, they have Soul Calibur 2, and then I can't think of the other games, but it's like two other games they have on
Caliber
there.
2. Wow. Sunshine? Is that one of them?
Maybe.
Mario? And
Let
was
me.
F-Zero one of them?
Yeah, F-Zero.
The F-Zero game? Okay.
Yeah.
Um, God, that's frustrating. Dude, there's so many good GameCube games, you know? I want them to get deeper in the well, right? Like get like Custom Robo on there, man. Or I need to look through the N64 list actually, because I want to play Bomberman 64 and Bomberman Hero. Do you remember that game?
Yeah, I do remember that game. So I lied.
Okay.
There are 5 games right now:
Okay.
Chi Chi Robo,
Okay. What the fuck?
F-Zero GX, Soul Calibur 2, Super Mario Strikers, and Wind Waker.
Huh. Okay. I mean,
That's
Wind
it.
Waker's cool, I guess. Mario Strikers is cool too. We could play that online. That'd be fun. I need to look at where's it? N64. What was I looking
N64
for?
has a pretty good catalog.
Damn, dude. Yeah, they have a lot of games here. Jet Force
Yeah.
Gemini. Hell yeah. Mario Golf. All the Mario parties, which is great. I love those. Damn, dude. They have a huge catalog of
Yeah,
the 64.
N64 is
Okay.
like
Really
they
robust.
even the whatchamacallit games, their whatchamacallit, their GameCube Color and their not GameCube Color, but their Game Boy Color and their
Game
Game Boy
Boy.
Advance games are really good too.
I see that. Yeah, they have the Fire Emblem games. Ooh, they have both Golden Suns. Oh, fuck. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
man. Yeah.
Fuck yeah. No, this is what I need. This is what I'm afraid of. Like, I want to get a Switch 2 and I want to get Nintendo Online, but dude, I feel like I'm going to get fucking lost in a retro spiral. Like, because there's just so many good games, man, in here that, I don't know. Like, yeah, like Golden Sun and Golden Sun The Lost Age, dude, those are long ass JRPGs. Like, those are not short games at all. And even the Fire Emblems are Those are pretty long as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some good stuff here. Game Boy. Oh man, Mario Tennis on Game Boy. I remember this. Oh man, good times. All right. Well, that's all we got today, Montrell. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we head out?
Nope, that's it.
Oh, they have Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, and 3. Fuck. I've never beaten 2. I've beaten Donkey Kong Country 1 and I've beaten 3, but I never beat 2. 2 is I think 2 is the hardest one, actually. But all right, that's good stuff. All right, guys, if you like this episode, please like the show, review the show, subscribe to the show, whatever feed you're listening to it on, and subscribe to us on YouTube. And if you'd like to send us a question, you can do so to theplayerstake01@gmail.com via email. We'll answer your question on the show. That'll be it for us, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next week.